especially the states of the southeast and river states. So, and with some things in the goal in the recent weeks and months, and then when you development now, and we get election, get choose your leadership, and this is where we are now. So I think I Katamaka this issue. What are the realities? What are the facts? You know, and then Malopano, what the future holds, considering this new development, especially with the fact that the leadership has been zoned to River State. It's not the first time, but it's the first time in recent years. And considering the need that has been growing over the last few years to unite Igbo, Mandino on the southeast, Mandino outside the southeast, this has always looked like a very good uh, gesture and possibility for Ndigbo to be able to unite more and progress together. So that's what we came on this conversation to discuss. Mazi is okay. Please, I hope you're ready to speak. Request the mic and join me. And then any other person that will join us tonight, please request the mic so we can have this conversation. Maka isi eme na NjenjeMedia. I na nkata. I believe na ndị Igbo ga-akpanwu nkata without unnecessary exchange of words or labeling. Imago, I be nkata anya kwanyere onwe anyị ugwu, kwanyere ndị anyị na-afa na-akpa nkata ugwu, and tinye uche, gbanyekwa uche n'ife a na-ekwu ka ọ bụrụ based on understanding, ọ bụrụ based on facts. Kedu ife na-afịọ, kedu ife melụ, enwe references, enwe facts, enwe figures. Otu ka isi akpa nkata. Maka ọ na-adị easier that way. Ị na-eme etu a enwe ike inwe progress. Ịkpasịkwanụ nkata ya na-akpọ nwere ife iji aka. Then nwekwanụ onye bịara ebe a ka ọ gee ntị ife ndị mmadụ na-eme ebe a. Ọfụ na ndị a bụkwa ndị Igbo anọnwa na ndị Igbo makwanụ ka esi eme ife a ka ọ ghara ịbụ nke ọ yaba na-akpa a na-anụ ọgụ. Maka na sometimes ọ na-abịa kwugide ụmụ ife ndị a, things they hit it up because enwego varying views, you know. And sometimes when ebe ekwu abụrụ ebe onye nke ọzọ kwu, so ọ na-ekwuzigo nwa na-ekwu ọ na-akatazi like this, ọ dị ka asị na obi enubego onye ọbụla ọkụ. So I encourage us, I'll just to try and restrain ourselves and just focus on the issues. Only if any that you feel is wrong or incorrect or misinformation, you can approach it, you can contest it with your own facts, you know, without a bahasio. The most important thing is that we look into this, interrogate the matter, and then also look at what we can extract from it. What does the future hold is the most important thing in all of this, you know. Makana, some believe then we're confusion, some believe then we're progress, then we're new development, and the development is good. I believe that in the midst of development, and we're some need for clarity, and that is what we want to do today, to try and just look at the facts, analyze what's going on, and see what we can understand from Ifeneme. Mazi, Ekeneme, Ndewo. Hello, I hope you guys can hear me. Hello.
I know.
Okay. Ndewo.
Keka gwana.
I know me, I know.
Eken asina ekene kene onye ọma na mụ nwe ekene gokwo kene ive na-emelu ive.
Ekene kwame.
Ndewo. No. Yes, adịgwo ka ọ ya adị. Asị na agbakọ kwanye nwa n'unu n'ọrụ agwa n'afọ. And ọ dị ka agbakọ wee kwanye nwa ya bụ nwa n'unu. Igbo bụ iwe ekenekwa ọmụ unu. Afa mbụ Maazị Ezeoke. Nwanne m nwoke ọ dị mma etu isi wee mee ka anyị na-akpakọrịta ụka na mgbede a. Dịka ejuru onye asị ya kwuo ka ebe anyị ebido, ọ sị na anyị ebidogodo okwu nwa n'isi na anyị eje ka ebido ya n'isi. Na amụrọnụ m nke ịchọ ka ebido, amụrọnụ m ebe ịchọ ka ebido, mana ife dịgodo na ya bụ okay, ngwa gawa.
nke bụ eziokwu bụ na ọ bụrụ onye ọbụla n'ebe a ma ife niile na-eme, so onwe ike bụ na onwe ike bụrụ nwere onye batara ebe a mana ọ ma na enwere elekshọn mana ọ mara ka o si wee gaa, ọ marakwanụ ife na-afịọ, mụnwa na onwe m
Okay.
sef amachọrọ m ife niile until yesterday, then abanyezia today a na-enwezi more revelation, mana ka anyị nwegodi overview of ife na-eme first of all, then anyị site
Okay.
ebe ya na nke na-afịọ.
Onwe ndị na-echekwa na ha ya abata maka na onwe ndị nsendialụ space a ndị nzigalia
Okay.
ame n'anya na Chief Kalu Ireke Ọnụma, ọ bụrụ na ọ bata biko ya were ya kene ka anyị ya nwa bụ na ndị mele ha bụ ya nwa bụ the head of the media, well he's masno ya nwa bụ onye dị in charge of the media team for this election committee.
Okay.
Ọ bụrụ na ọ bịa maka na ịma na mgbe mụ na anyị na-ekwu na fon ịjụba kedu ka proses eji welu mee ha si na onye amara ebe enyi ozi ji bụ na ọ ya esi n'ọkpa wee bụ so onwe ndị ya bụ okwu ya aka mma n'ọnụ maka na a sị na aka kpala eze kwude na okwuo mma chili ọzọ, so etu ya bụ ife ji wee dị na nke mụnwa ya ebidogodu n'ubu na ndị Igbo. I made a video yesterday, and that video out of concern. Imago is in the key point of that video. Nobu nemesia this election. Me lose because waji. And many of us woke up this morning. I were na funwego ndi win na ndi mele ha, which again obisoro ka ife si wee na. Enugu bụ obi ndị Igbo, kpọọ ya n'ọnụ Igbo capital ndị Igbo. Headquarter Ohanaeze dịkwa n'Enugu, and ekwenyekwa m na anyị ncha niile bụ ndị Igbo bụ ndị Ohanaeze. Onye ọbụla bụ onye Igbo bụ onye Ohanaeze, ka ọ ghara ịbụ mmadụ pịọ na-ekwu ndị Ohanaeze onwere ụbụbụ ndị. It's as a result of the sometimes misinformation and the media space. And I believe that's why this space is holding this evening. And I say once more, thank you to you. And as a result of that same information, Moa personally started seeking for those not in those positions to begin to speak to us. Because now they know a lot of misinformation. And in doing that, I would say almost all the persons, with exception of one, contest this election. I spoke to all of them on the Meet Your Aspirants program, called out by NjenjeMedia to have this conversation across board. And all of them attended, including the former Inspector General of Police, Chief Mike Okiro. Sadly, he stepped down last night because agbali akwụkwọ si na ọrụ onye Rivers ya nwa wee dee statement wee si na ọ na step down, mana wee jụọ ofu ajụjụ ọjụ bụ na ọ bụrụ na mmadụ gụrụ mgbe ọ dị nọ ntorobịa wee gụsịa university wee welu ọmarọ na ọya alụ polisi, ọmarọ na ọya achị echi ndị Ohanaeze mesị ihe niile welu bụrụ inspector general bụrụ onye Rivers, ọ bụrụzie mgbe agha zozi PG ka a nọkọtazie the same people sikwazie nọ ịmago ụfọdụ ndị not the same people ka a ghara misconstrue this, but amaka ọjọ ndị Igbo welu na-esi anya wee baa n'ime obi wee pịba aka wee pịpụta onye that was very acceptable to everybody nọ n'ime obi and ndị bịalụ na the assembly wee sị na ya nwagachi ndị Igbo onye sikwa Rivers. And one other thing I have to note bụ na through the information mụ nwa nwee ọ bụrụ sọsọ PG ka eme today, emelu other elections, and if you permit me ka ndị be anyị wee malụ kene because ịma na ofu osisi ara eme ọkwọ n'ọfịa ọ bụ ọkwọ sọsọ PG ka ndị Igbo nwe. There were other positions. The complete list of the newly elected executive members, we have published it, but let me run down quickly. President General Senator John Azụta Mbata, Onyikwere Igbo, nke dị na Rivers State. Deputy President General Oke Nwadinobi, Secretary General nke ịpụ apụ bụ Ambassador Emuche, mana onye nke a kịta bụ Engineer Emeka Sibodo. That is the former Deputy Governor of Anambra State, right? Then when the new Secretary General now, sorry, Deputy Secretary General Dan Okenyi, Vice President, many Vice President from each state. So when Omife Jidofo, another Vice President, Chief John Duru, Dr. Ngozi Olime, Dr. Peter Mbam, Professor Fred Eze, National Treasurer Peter Chidera Aneke, Assistant National Treasury Nnanna Nwankwo, National Financial Secretary Charles Kalunkata, Assistant National Financial Secretary Jane Nwanga, National Publicity Secretary Dr. Ezechukwu Ezek, Assistant National Publicity Secretary Bismarck Oji, National Legal Advisor Barrister Okagu Ogada, Assistant National Legal Advisor Barrister Chizoba Iheka. Now, these people Ndi Igbo may elect, hancha niile were also sworn in today. Many people nwere ike na wonder kezizi ka esi nọkọta ọ dịka onwe ndị asị na onwegasị ndị akpa afa. Oh, since one day, I think since start of Friday, since Tuesday, onwe a na-esende aghala no Ohanaeze this na-emega image. Onwe mgbe o mekata ọ dịka okwu INEC. Ịma na onwe mgbe nna anyị ukwu Prọfesọ Pat Utomi na-aza election na Delta State. Anọkatazia onye bụ gosigwo fọm amụrụzi ebe a nọ wee mee primaries. Ihe ọzọ fụzi bụ na ife agasigwo. Wee gaa ka o si wee gaa. Mana ije na his Twitter page now. Let me see if I can quickly pull
In the
that
corner,
up.
Professor Pat Tomiso.
No. Mba, okwu ka ndị a wee kwu. In terms of onwe etu anyị si nọ na-eme ife. Ọ bụrụ na ị masịrị ka ife si gaa. What I want to allude with that, if you do not have the authentic
information. Yeah, I'm
okay. Yeah, authentic authentic I'm just searching for the word. Information for instance, observe why he name recognize that because this election the 5 Southeast governors were in attendance. Ndị Mobinia, ndị Igbo ji ibili, ndị okenye nọgasị enwegasị like former senators, former House of Assemblymen, former ministers, onye nenebe the photo, ị ga-afụsị ma Senator Ben Obiden, a lot of people know about mmadụ dịka Victor Ume, Dr. Okey Ikechukwu, you have the outgone PG, that is Nze Ozi Chukwu. Then
yes, Felix.
Yeah, the outgone Secretary General Ambassador Oke Muche, Dr. Chris Ngige. Who ọbụrụ onwe bụ na ndị Igbo ji bili whether man ndị nọ n'ịntanetị okwelu.
Can enwelo process eji nominate ndị ga-azọ and enwe nọmba a na-echuzu ife dịka nọ mmadụ 5 ga-azọ PG ka onye ọbụla pụtalụ
No,
wee mee
Imana,
election.
no ọbụla pụtan, because I recall that na mgbe ụlọ ndị Imo 4 years ago, when they came out, because some of these things that's no you see and but when I reached out to with the Nesh Foundation, can you may butter her, because for the first time actually we started it for the first time that Nachi Inwe Ohanaeze president that will reach out to say, oh, come and have conversation with Ndigbo. Ka Ndigbo jukene ga juka ima kene ni ihe unu bu n'obi before na banyebe ebe a. Then aka benchmark ya abu unu bido ịlụ ọrụ. Ọ bụzikwa nkwa unu kwere anyị ka unu na-eme. So then there were 5 people. Iota. That's Professor Biozo late. Then you had
Yeah.
Professor Chido Swagu. We have Dr. Chris Akoluka and Joe Nwogu and Chief
So there were
Wazirike.
5 of them.
Wazirike, 5 of them, 5.
Wazirika onke
No,
masol
from
ka ọzọ.
former chairman Aki Kenga.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So 5 of them put an emo. Eventually, one person emerged. Now, the way they actually do this thing, Buna, Anna a zone. Let me quickly, roll out how the zoning works. Onwelu, something they published. Can I quickly find it? Was something they published. Okay, let me say here. So Abia and Ezonia, like for this one now, Abia Zone, Abia State, Deputy President General, that's Deputy President General and National Financial Secretary. That is 2 slots. Anambra, Vice President General and Secretary General. So the SG, that is the Secretary General, the former Deputy Governor Anambra State. Then Delta State, Vice President General and Deputy Secretary General. Ebonyi State, Vice President General and National Legal Advisor and Assistant National Financial Secretary. Then Enugu State, Vice President General, National Treasurer and Assistant National Publicity Secretary. Imo State, recall Imo State got the PG people from. So, but they now got Vice President General and National Assistant National Legal Advisor. Then River State, Nwelu, President General and Assistant National Treasurer. Iota. Then in one of their these things have published it in a price range because Habial maybe an aya and that I believe no as a means of scaling down the amount of people who game apply and again to run the election. Iota. Because when they published the list, when I got the list he won, the number I think like the electoral committee look over 100 people. Then how they
The
elect
committee alone,
eh?
just the committee, Lu
Yes.
100.
Yes, I'm telling you, when I saw it in Sihana, wow. But
Ka na-alụ.
well, both screening or the issue, one I shouted when I saw it, but on a second thought, because na more believe when I spoke to the PG, I think about 3 weeks ago, when I interviewed him, Aneku, the PG, was explaining because when they on the meeting on a call or extend that the ten on that after the death of Iwanyang when the Iwanyang was buried, and all this is too short for an election to hold today and call for him to extend. And the other, camp now say, if you do that, it means that Imo is extending his tenure. So the PG, the former PG, Westerner, no, on no account. Kage me. So I believe now that number of electoral distinct in order to prove that no more onye ga-rig election now. ọkwa na ịmago na nwere ihe etu anyị esi wee eme magomago ka e nwee inclusiveness mana ịma na a na-eme na inclusiveness a na-eme wider from 7 states so wider katazie ya the thing okwu koba achịcha ịghọta the wideness is easier nne so that's why it got to that point
Okay.
you know.
Okay, can you can I made this screening? Give about the criteria.
Well, no, I don't know. That's one of the things I may have to go back and ask them. Okwan, hold on. Obuna Onyano. I think he
Uh-huh.
should be Carlo Batago. Before
Get
Carlo
that
Onu-
here.
Carlo Onuma. Uh
Okay, because Mr.
Obuna
Carlo
Onya
Onuma,
Weni Ake no biko.
Obuna no eba because request ya Mike bata ki sulan
Yeah.
pankata because kaya na get kalia maka ka Ohanaeze si
Nanya,
operate.
before I go back, remember that to ask me that question again. But before I go, there is something Professor Pato to me tweeted that is very, very. In fact, I read it. I smiled. I read it just moments ago. Quote tweet like he said. Professor Pato to me tweeted this. You know, saying God wears Isiago sometimes. The contention on who would be filling PG of Ohanaeze Ndigbo from River State could not have been better resolved than with the ascension of Senator John Azoka Mbata to the position. The spirit of his father clearly reached down from up there. God definitely still answers prayers. I am grateful for that. I think that struck, but also struck maybe to the point that I may not entirely understand because it struck maybe from a personal note. One or two things on my for Patty to me to put out this tweet about 8 o'clock Nigerian. That is, let's say about an hour, 2 hours ago. You know, when I read it, I said, "Now, wow,
Oh, we can well privileged information.
exactly." But he got that because for him to start with God, where's this here go sometimes? Wow.
So believe or not, divine intervention.
For some
Yes,
people.
I was also happy reading it. I loved it when I read it. And Mazi, Ibogu na top bullshit. Ndeo.
All right. Okay. Let me just Chelono.
Hello.
Kai kata no aga de to well organized. You got go. Now, Campbell introduction. Unu mano mazio. Obu na maro onye mazeze okebo. O mazeze okebo onye na funaro on NjenjeMedia. And on a particular show na eme na YouTube. Ebe ọ na-eme interview ndị Igbo. Ebe a na-enwe conversations about ife gbasara ndị Igbo. Ọ na-eme show na state of the nation, of the Igbo nation. So one of the reasons why he has invested a lot of time and resources into matters concerning Ohanaeze, over the years. But in recent time, he decided to devote time to interrogate and engage all the people Nazo from the River States extraction, now this particular election, to engage each one of them. What are their plans? Why are they running for this office and all that? And he put in that effort. And according to, as we can see, Ghana YouTube, his channel, he had that conversation with most of them except one person. So with all that and all the interviews Omego in the past, I think he has been able to grab a good understanding of what is going on in Ohanaeze, and he is in touch with a lot of them. Even for tonight, he promised to bring in one or two officials from Ohanaeze so that Kenya Wamakoa from Akoa ọ ka mma na ịnụkwa n'ọnụ ndị Ohanaeze n'onwe ha ka ya lesi na onye a sịkwa na onye nke ọzọ si mana at least a na-ekwuzi nke a mara na onye na-ekwu ya bụ onye nọ n'ime obi ọkwanụ onye nọ n'ime operations Ohanaeze, management Ohanaeze, whatever it is called is the same thing. So like I just nkata with Mazi Ezoke today, but at the same time you are free to request the mic and join this conversation makana oga wada into different parts, and oga so I promise you that we heat it up mana I get you manage it. So if you have any opinion about what has happened so far, join us and bring your submissions. If you also have questions for anybody here, even the Ohanaeze official or Mazi Ezoke himself or myself, feel free to come and ask your question. Come, Mazi. This man, Chief Emmanuel Iwanyanwu died in July.
Yes.
I was wondering why there was a vacuum for almost 6 months. Like it took them almost 6 months, if not 6 months exactly, to do what they did, as in to replace him with somebody else from Imo State. Was it that there weren't any provision in their constitution for such possibility, for such occurrence?
Ịma na asị na amada abana ekpodo abana aja erie ekpodo nsị aja erie abana. So I think now, me think, but hold on before I go on. Chief Carlo Rica Onomas no here. I'm not my one here can please us no request Mike.
Okay, can then
Chief Obu ni request Mike, maybe ni we can just wave your hand.
Afa on azana.
Okay, that feed you better.
Kai wali awe chobie.
Now let me continue. So, but my I am abonye weni Chris Aspire. I don't know more after you know.
Oh, more question because I'm just get a question because very soon now.
No, hold on. I can't be gonna be there. It's in a
Don't worry. I'm not supposed to be I might even don't worry.
Because Ika no long while because
you already the tone first.
I want to go the action. Because some of these things, like I said, I am only intervening because I've interfaced with them. Even now, I'm working at the background to see Mangenwata, to the PG to talk to Ndigbo on Sunday on my State of the Igbo Nation, So obviously, because he's the only person that I didn't have conversation with, because when the campaign, I had other guys Monday, Tuesday, just back to back, but he came into the race late, obviously. If you go back to that Professor Thomas tweet, it might explain one or two things. I mean, Osinoji Carlo, hold on, Kai Chokwani, Osinoji Carlo on Mbata.
Come try ya.
Mana, are you sure? No, please, my brother, request Yanubiko. Manamu ara fukuya be.
Mo afro kwea afro me na request. Afro de me na the space at all.
Afford me a space. That's why, because I know the I don't make
Can search ya search can malmo come to. It's
okay.
not Carlo.
Anuma.
Mba afro kwa me Carlo anoro kwa eba. Onwe ike bụ na ọ ya mba ka ọ ya na anoro kwa eba. Ọ dị possible na ọ
na Marukwa me bata tik ya anonymous. Ayara fukwa na mmụọ. I think no one no anonymous.
Uche abuza na ya afu ya dia.
Biko ọ bụ na ị nọ na anonymous, litwa gbagotakwa again biko.
Anya tere nzu n'anya.
Na ka asị na ma na afụ ka na mara afụ ọkwa na ara m afụ na ife na afụ na nzuzo. O nwekwa ife karịa. So, like we said, why I think Iwanyanwu's this sorry, after the death of Iwanyanwu, but I think na enwe a sort of tradition that you do not have. I'm not making an excuse. I don't know, but that's what I think. So onye na ya me an hold wo ma oburu aram ekwu on authority, but na asị n'ihe m kwu di ihe mfu.
Na uche nke gị.
N'uche nke m, I think na it is because na they don't want to have a new PG until the former PG is buried, and in my Wanyangu's PG burial took a while. And you remember now when Professor Biozos died, the same thing happened until he was buried. Before he was replaced, Iota, as a mark of respect. That's my take on that.
So in the period onyanwa ana-akwa onyanwa akwa, how do they provide leadership? Don't they lead and when committee or interim leadership of some sort?
When that is one of the reasons why I had you in this state. If we go back to what I read out before, one of the reasons you were those hold on, ejiwe many vice presidents, right? But the constitution has to cover, because at some point I had to request to see the constitution. But now I have like PG1 on being disposed. Then the next VP Abia from the next state in alphabetical order. Iota. The next state in alphabetical order. But because they have that, and I believe now, okay, Merona before. So when I attended one of the Imobi last year, when Iwanyan was there, so what they did was to do a doctrine of necessity, to now ask
Okay.
Imo, instead of going by that VP, to say, okay, hold on with this VP shape. Ndimo, can you please provide another
What onye
replacement?
ọzọ?
Yes. And that was why Ojuwe delay like that.
So ị na-ekwu na oge Obi ọzọ nwụrụ na oge Faka agaro, as in tenure ya ka agwụrụ. That was why Iwanyan replaced him there from Imo State, both of them. Okay?
Yes, that's correct.
So Imo provide the go 3 PGs within one tenure.
That's correct. A tenure of 4 years.
Interesting. I don't know whether they have considerations for this, because or the KFA be a recent development, and then maybe because of the ages of the PGs, and then repeated incidents of the PG on seat, and it creates some gap in the activities and then in their leadership.
Sorry, say that again.
From if now, if I go 2 times in the last 4 years, a PG I won't go 2 times in the last 4 years. That means now it might continue like this, because life expectation in Nigeria because reduced or draws that high, and they are but elders. Or put all the possible if I can repeat itself going on. Like, we can't necessarily expect most of the leaders to finish their tenure considering their age, except only in Kofu and Noah. Only in Kofu they could drop that old.
I think no, it
Mbata.
doesn't. Onwero mbane around one case ito. I think
Mani
from
watalife ne kuno obu on a mail call
maybe in a
regularly.
it has also been a concern, which I think some of us, whether we are on the sideline, even na Rivers, na Anambra, Enugu, anyị ncha bụ ofu. There must be a way I guess to get involved and get them. These are things, these are constitutional matters. If we feel no, everything na go adam. See Megaliani Hanuman. Obokwa no, na that section, I think about section 14 or so, Kulu na game with that VP ship rotation. Because now I have to go that name were vacuum for a while, or that now somebody was subtly acting from behind, that it needs to be pronounced and it needs to be clear. So these are things that I believe, I wonder why maybe within the media, why we engage them, we knock them here and there to see if these things can be fixed. Caroline was with that vacuum of much clarity.
Okay. Can I buy an election? So from what I'm hearing now, we're like 3 different people. Madebwa, they claim na Fabo PG now. Ofonye bụ onye nke amela announce officially na onye bụ PG. That is Mbata. Then onye nke ọzọ bụ Okuku. Okuku seems to have declared himself PG. On what basis? And kedu if anyone onwe ya kwu na enu when ekwu na onye bụ PG, and how does Ohanaeze handle that? Because if I bụkwa a little all the go embarrassment somehow.
Because this is crazy. And when the guest na sim na he's been here since IGB don't know why na rafi. Amas kuma ima na mwa onye space na nke akalizikwa.
Ọ na-eme sometimes. Ọ na-eme nke a bụ glitches na course ya, mana if on we came to make it easier, ya follow Kennedy's handle. Mama ọ ga-enyere anyị aka.
Okay, because can ọ bụ na ị na follow the handle.
At least mfo ya go follow the handle. That might make it easier for me to, or ya send a message na DM. That is another way.
Because send the host message. Let me type because I'm
Ka anyị chọta nwa ya easily.
Exactly, because these questions, I think now that question, I might, if you don't mind,
Yeah,
because I might maybe decline because now, these are people I hosted and these are people I've talked to. Maybe Ibiakube, why I think they did this or did the other one. I'm not or this is fair on me.
nsogbu
Yes.
nke ọbụla ị chọrọ ịbanye ya anyị arapụ ya until onwe onye ga-akọwa nwe ya from an official point of official position mana ka anyị banye ka anyị kwugene ma nke Michael Kiro there I'm hearing I'm reading online and I'm hearing different varied views on what is going on. I'm not I know that Mr. Michael Kiro stepped down yesterday due to the issue of where he comes from and the injunction from the courts that he should not contest since he's from Imo State. That's what the injunction says. And then Anekwu na Ebosi, well, some part of it non rivers, where some part of it non Imo State, which is Ohaji Egbema. So ụfọdụ na-ekwu na n'eziokwu na ọ bụ onye Imo steeti. Ụfọdụ na-ekwuri village ebe o si n'Imo steeti na ọ bụ onye Obiakpụ. I think Obiakpụ or something like that. Obiakpụ. While some are saying no onye River State. Nya ọnụ na-ekwu na onye River State. So sị ka anyị kpakere nkata maka this na obele. Onwe onye mma ọ bụ na onwe onye mma Mike Okri from Magumalu oyi ụnọ onye mma ndị mma ya kọwala anyị anyị nwa anụrụ ha.
Biko. Yeah, Megodo now. The guest is no sending a private message. As no
Okay.
follow go your handle. So because resolve okay now, then before we continue.
Private message. Okay. Ana m
Mm.
achọkwa ya.
I was on your move.
Ana m achọkwa ya. In fact, ọ dị m ka ọ just screenshot ọ dị the screenshot ọ send post ya ka onye ọbụla na-afụkwa ife m na-afụ ebe ahụ.
There is something more.
Maybe it will take some time for it to
Man, I
show.
to every other person because OGF here well no.
Okay, if you melumbo ije na the comment section.
Comments okay.
You mentioned no yeah. I'm forgot the idea.
Okay. I don't Carlo no.
Okay, I forgot me.
Okay,
I
forgive.
forgot me on a comment section.
Okay.
I've been here since the beginning. Okay. Come on, why talk why?
Ngwan if we will go to ZNN.
I don't have a space. Not in a comment section.
Ngwan follow bazi ya back. No follow bazi on no we can walk.
FM now.
So
Okay.
even nke Mike Okiro dịka ajụjụ eju. Imana, please, always something man choka ime. Kaidin very careful. Kaigalo inenwe speculate something enwe risi nodo. You see, with all due respect, I from etu an ino. Okwa wike gwala ina ọrụ onye Igbo. Arani aka. Nwanne nwoke va mechisi na ọ bụ onye Igbo. Right? From the same place. Now, onwe ihe o kwuru. Mgbe njụli ya because a lot of people who join in my program. In fact, over 40% of that conversation dwelled on his ancestry. Abuna Madi say one thing more might take away from that meeting, that conversation with Ndigbo Buna. Namboje University, Mbo maro ni hoya abuno we or moro na moya ba police or moro na moya uluechi or blue A or B, talk less of eha. Or no jelo obu secretary in the River State Association na University of Ibadan. One other senator that wrote something within the week. I read it on the paper again. Now, then he served, and Mbobu IG, Mbobanye police as Rivers, Mbomenkas Rivers, Mbomenkas Rivers, Mbobuzi IG, Ndi Rivers, we as their son, their proud son, we be celebrate here. o nwere ka ọ dị asị na okeke nwaanyị dị ntị njọ. The only thing anyị ekwu bụ na ọ bụrụ na ebe ọ dịbazi ka ọ bụ ihe ya eso okwu na o nwere ka ọ bụrụ ya bụkwa ebe prọfesọ Otomi na-eme alututu, mana ihe m ama nche ọ bụ mmadụ ije na-atụkasị ya bikos ọ ga-adịzi ka mkpali ka ọ na Igbo achọ amaeze ha. I wouldn't want to honestly dwell in that. Ebe mmadụ gwara ya kọwasịa, took his time explain sịa, I mean ọ bụrụ ya nwa kelu, ọ bụrụ ya nwa mee boundary adjustment. Hold on, o nwere ihe sendịrị m na ihe o sendịkwalụ na-asị ya
aka m na-achọkwa
ọkpọ
Mr.
oyi
Kalu.
suit oyi suit
Afụgo m ya, efologo m ya, mana nka na-achọ ya n'ime space a aka m afụrụ ya
na wow, because ya nwa extend the golum screenshot afụgo m ya now.
okay, send ya na WhatsApp.
Abụkwa
Ife
mmadụ
ma
afụgo ya now.
afọ m ya na comment section, mana afụrụ m ya n'ime the space n'onwe ya.
Mana follows ya n'ihe nwa now.
Efologo m ya.
Yeah, na wow.
Efologo m ya already. Ọ nchọbazi ya n'ime comment section, ọ fịbazi ya arụ. Na wonder.
So
Okay, ya pụọ na the space chiata azụ.
biko ọ dịkọsikwa na o mebugo ya before.
Ewo. Onwe ife a nwere ike ịbụkwa network na course ife. O nwere ike ịbụ na network ebe ọ na-adịsịrọ mma, marọ m. Because I'm trying to understand the ife that course with ife. Ọ na-emekwa sometimes anyway. Adị ama ọ na-eme.
Ịma na Twitter mụ nwa arụ onye, so ebe bụ
Ọ na-eme. This space na-enwe ọ na-enwe glitches na-enye ezigbo nsogbu.
and erimos o nwere ive ọ ya eme ka o dozie ya.
Ka ndị ekwu ọ bụ na ya pụgoro na the space chiatakwa azụ ka anyị malụ ma ọ ga-enyere aka.
Biko
Mana aghọtara m ife.
Chuka,
Aha.
biko ihe a maazị na-akọwa biko ka ige ya ntị very well. Solu ya the words akọwa ya. Mụa support kwara the words.
Uche m dị ya na nwerọkwa n'ife a na-azọ. Uche m dị ya. Ka anyị gaa n'iru, while we're waiting for him, ka anyị gaa n'iru.
Okay, so imago and for mụnwa ọ bụrụ ihe anyị kwesịrị iji, you know, because ihe a bụrụ Ohanaeze presidency bụ ihe dị serious that has to do with our state of being na Ndigbo that embodies a lot. Ọ bụrụ egwu nwata na-agba, you know, ọ bụrụ kwa achị n'aka amivediwe yọta, ọ bụrụkwa n'ọkụ nwata gbangada anya. So ịbịa mmebizie ọ bụrụ a thing that is personal n'uche nke m. Okay, ọ sị na ọ ya try again. Ịbịa mebezie ya n'ụdị a osu etu wee gaba ịghọta adịsịrọ m n'uche nke m. I wouldn't have encouraged anybody to go that, you know, that way. Now ịbịa na election ikwu a sị na mmadụ ịtọ win election, o nwere onye nke win inu on the second on Tuesday. Now let me put it this way, because I did interview all of them, Mike Okiro, Uche Okwukwu, and Jackson Omenazo. I asked Jackson, kedu ka ya nwa, how do I phrase this? Onwe in 2017, mgbe nna ya nwodo na-achị bụ win the PG-ship, right? If you Google his name, you see it. I recall vividly then, ya nwere onwe ya jụ na ọma nkwụ ụgwọ to contest the election then. I think the River State Ezone Ulfa to produce Secretary General, and then to take the nomination from them was 300,000. Where do I say gịnị mere na ọkwụghị ụgwọ ha mgbe a? Now, is it a good sign of a leader? The interview they out there that na your organization belong mgbe ogburu. Ngwale you hold them, but that year also, and let me quote him verbatim. Am I coming to take money from Ohanaeze? The amount is too much, and they Ohanaeze must screen me. Yota.
Yes.
Okay. That same way, osikwa na ọ bụrụ na ị bịa na meeting ụmụnna bịa ịlụ ndị Igbo ọrụ, ị ga-akwụ ụgwọ ka e wee mee gị chairman. Well, ndị nọ na meeting a asị a fair point. Somebody wee jụọ ya sị ya, mana ị mara na o nwere some communities now ịchọ ịzọ PG na ị akwụ ụgwọ. Mụnwa wee sị ya, maybe na a na-ana ego a ka ewelu because logistics ịkpọkọta all these delegates, these delegates are from states. Ohanaeze state,
Okay.
when the diaspora. So to get them, you keep them in a hotel, they will be there, attend the meetings, maybe 1 or 2 days. So go mmadụ nwe ọgọdọ ewu na-ata. So ya nwa sị na ọma nkwụ dị ụgwọ, then that is surprise. Ọ bụrụ na ọ kwụghị ụgwọ and ọ bụkwa na ịkwụghị ụgwọ amanye gị fọm. So kezi ka o si nọkọtazie pụtazie na pepa na ya nwazi PG. I mean, you get my point.
So no gbaro if ị na-ekwu na bụ na ọgbaro the form.
Ọ gbarọfọ o kwuru na my program that na ọma mgbakwanị ya.
Ego na-ebu form a.
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay. Well,
The form, I think the form PG was, I think, about 1 million or half a million. I can't, within that range.
okay.
Right?
So nebo na nyanwa ikwu na ọ bụ president. Ọ dị ka ebe mmadụ na-ekwu na ọ bụ graduate mana ọ jero university.
Well,
Because of contest. Ọ ịgba no form we contest ya.
emetia ikwube nke graduate a jejuo na ojimeje ka ma ibugo graduate.
Ma nke ahụ abụrụ nke ahụ graduate.
Okay.
Nke ahụ dị iche nke a graduate.
Okay. So that is one. Then Abia and Kuche, yeah, we spoke. I thought, I was taken aback when I woke up this morning. His PA forwarded me newspaper, social media publication that he's been elected Ohanaeze PG. And I was taken aback because before he sent me that, someone called me from the meeting that they thought I would attend. So I'm welcome to attend. I've done my bit for Ndigbo. My job was not involved.
Sorry, meeting the election.
Yes.
Okay.
Today. I didn't, I didn't attend, right? So nkata aka mụ na ya na-akpazi nsị a kemgbe a ga-ebido kemgbe the osim 12 o'clock. So then it struck me, okay, ọ bụrụ na mụ na mmadụ na-akpa nkata na aka ga-ebido 12 mana ndị online edebego na enwego PG. I said to myself, then something must be wrong. Do you understand? Exactly. So I started now looking.
Investigation.
Now found out that they did their own in Port Harcourt. Even that's why I told you. Maka Professor Pato to me na his Delta outing, and I mentioned INEC. Abu na INEC anọrọ ebe enwe ivan. So who are the Ndigbo? Who are the Ohanaezes? These are elders, Ndimobi, the governors, at least the 5 states. These are part of the people that make up the NEC and the Imobi, right? So nwere onye n'ime ndị anụnwa now no jenu Port Harcourt. Ohanaeze head office ha dị na Enugu. Imobi head office Imobi dị na Enugu. The assembly met in Enugu. So I struggle to see the coloration. Do you understand? Now this is yeah, Odike, I don't you see for Muma personally, I kind of had a hunch that something like this would come up. Hence, also trying to bring everybody
Engage.
to a level field. So let's,
Nkata.
be elected on their own merit based on just like a twisted debate now. Do you understand?
Yes. Well, because we're now emege election and ebe emele election now bụ na Enugu. So if ị na-akọwa na bụ na ọsọ mmadụ ịtọ contest election a ọ ịfọpụta mana ofu onye bụ onye galụ Enugu ka ọ nwere ndị ọzọ nọkwa n'Enugu mgbe emele ya.
I wouldn't know. In trying to get initially, let me put it this way to answer your question. Initially, the program we couched for this was called Meet the Candidates, right?
Okay.
Meet the
Yes.
candidate. So when we reached out to the person, the head of the electoral whatever, see, because na contest here, so can I contact her, may invite? I said, no, okay, onye return from her well. And therefore, no more for and the days we are, that na the first week of January, second week of January, so the days we are just basically closing up. So quickly we had to change it to, instead of candidate to aspirant, to accommodate that now no one I follow also have on social media case so I because aspirant gave. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And in this aspiration, 5 people were involved. 5 people. Enwelu Barrister Ucho Okuku, nwe Fine Face Amechi, Chief Jackson Omenazo, and Chief Michael Kiro. Then a message there was there, John, Senator John Azota Mbata. So obviously, from all indications, I am a onye nke izi nọ, nke ọzọ nọ na Port Harcourt. So because we were, then Michael Kiro step down last night. So it appears not also phoning on that hall.
So it was non-contested.
Well, I just like as I own.
Okay, I eventually could because Amoromaga if I not or chief can where Mr. Carlo on because another option I got try now, but open it now your Amoromop Apple can use called Android. Check in your app store. Maloma Twitter go on need the update. Open on what open it draw updated because update your Twitter app, your X app. Open update here weekend yaka on the from that sometimes.
Because it's quite strange. It's quite strange. He said, "Go
Imagine.
try again." So it's really quite
I
strange.
try go in Canua. I try me update Malmo yaka. Because on the from my end, don't worry, open a update my app sometimes on the affect at Twitter space. In my Twitter, I know they're too sophisticated. And on a make a banje.
I hear remorse now.
Because when they go fast, but a banyo line your coin now. I like Kwamoto no Sapwell. Okay. Kai we batazian them mad no who Kai while we're waiting for Chief Carlo. Cannot go there Chief Carlo for now. While we're waiting for Chief Carlo, Kai we batan them mad no who Kafanya Tinyono. Then I Kakwaniru. Only is the blessed person. Okay, a plateau blessed person. Well, plateau there. Can you hear me? Later.
Yeah, I can hear you. Chuka ndewo. Maazị biko ndewo. Nkene go ofu ugboro, mana nkene ugboro na ndị ugboro 7, ugboro 10, ugboro 1000.
Begini mezi nwanne.
Ịmago ihe nọ dị ahụ na ọ dadịkwa n'izi mmadụ ịpụta ntụ a na-alụlụ obodo ọlụ ọdụlọ izi ebe onye ọbụla na-achụ ka otu ga-esi wee mee ofu onye apụta ma mmadụ abụ apụta ma mmadụ eto apụta na-alụlụ obodo ọlụ ọdụlọ izi ndewo Chukwu na-agba agụ ume and ọ bụghịkwa na m na-akọmpe gị with another person but na obi dị m ụtọ nke izugodu na Igbo gị yele eye pụtago ọ na-asụ ụsọ ma ọ bụrụ my brother Chuka so ọ dị mma ntụ ị na-use diplomacy dị dynamic na-eme everybody accommodate achọghị m ịkpọ handle but o nwere some handle so ha pụta ha mee ka ha na-ejelu ndị Igbo ozi ha emezie arrogate power and authority to themselves bụzere a power unto themselves bụzuru ihe ọbụla ha chọrọ eme insist na ntụ akụ ga-esi wee gaa oge m bịara fụ otu ihe na-agba na social media asị na onye nke ọzọ until nwee fụzie ebe gọvanọ my steeti Peter Mbata tweetulu nsi yes n'ebe ọbụla gọvanọ tweetulu nke a fụchukwa ọda gọvanọ si n'ebe a nọ nke ga-awụ authentic one Alex Oti metukwe tweeted the same thing mmekwe wee fụ ihe Pat Utomi tweetulu people like Pat Utomi ha dey ekwu okwu anyhow and they are not moved by materialism. They are moved by their personal conviction. There are very, very few people that are like that. So now, I suggest na Maduka Mazi too close to the leadership of Ohanaeze. Ihe need reconciliation, a good reconciliation. Ka mmadụ hapụ ịga anyụ anyị wee zọrọ azọrọ. I need reconciliation because now I think anyị bịa n'anya n'azụ oge enwe odowu Ohanaeze president. I think Ohanaeze was effective. It might not be as effective as most people have wanted, but there was no division, there was no faction during his time. So, and
faction.
Okay, maybe it was not pronounced. Maybe it was not pronounced. So, Manaka na-emezu ugbu a na-adịzị highly pronounced. So, gademma mụ na ayo, not got the possible. You reach out to the people that need to be reached out to. Can we reconciliation? When I yapanu ndị be anyị nọ n'ebe a, ka anyị hapụ ịdị na highlight the weakness. Our weakness is ebe ihe nọ wee ga otu anyị na-achọlọ, so that we can speak with one voice. Because nke bụ eziokwu that na our survival in Nigeria, we are facing existential threats. And if we don't speak with one voice, we might not be able to achieve what we want. But at least if we speak with one voice, it will help us to, get hold of the ball. Makana ana about ball, not going to ball in your goal. Loving in your ball, there is no hope of you scoring goal because our ball can go. So, a lot more things to say, just to comment and to seek for peace and reconciliation within Ohanaeze. Mandozolazo, Mandanazolo, ebe ọbụla ha nọ. The governors should help. Our governors are always busy. So even if you're asking them to do reconciliation, it might be difficult for them. But let the new president with other people, with former presidents and stakeholders, seek for reconciliation. See, Ndigbo nwere mmadụ. And being an Igbo person should be the highest, should be the peak. Because in a country like Israel now, before he went that 7th October attack, had a lot of division. Their prime minister was messing up, trying to concentrate power on himself. But after 7 and 10, they threw away politics and came together to face their common enemy. So when the highest religion, the highest political party one belong to is being an Igbo man. being an Igbo person should be supreme. Other things should fall within it. Ndewo, daalụkwanụ.
Daalụ nwanne m Plato. O nwere suggestion mmadụ mekilo Maazị Ezeoke, ọ dị ka anyị ga-try ya. Ọ bụrụ na ọ dị possible ịkpọ Chief Kalu na phone, maybe na WhatsApp or something, tinyezie ya na speaker, yotago anyị na-anụzi. Ọ bụ na phone bụ anyị nọghị nso, anyị mara ma ga-esi nwetu eme ya, ka achọrọ m ka okwu na nkata anyị na-akpa.
Ghọta mana anyway ka m nwa malụ maka na problem nwe na phone na that is my phone bụ dual sim, so anyway.
Ọ bụ na ị nwere tablet around.
Yeah, let me figure that out and see if I can call him on that.
Okay.
Biko, please, can I speak? Okay. Good evening.
Okay.
Good evening. Oh.
Yeah,
very well. I'm very well.
Biko,
thank you.
Sorry. Before now, let me make this clear. I'm looking at people watching us because we are streaming this on Facebook, YouTube, and other social media platforms simultaneously. Now, people now see onye bụ the John Mbata. Okay. So let's take a quick, just 1 minute, brief look of his profile. John Mbata, Azota Mbata bụ nwanne anyị nwoke from Rivers State, onye Ikwere, onye Obiakpọ, ọkụ ya. Now, amụrụ ya January 1960. The first elected as a senator, Rivers State East Constituency, 1999. Re-elected in 2003. Eventually, politics, they do, onye ọ nọ politics and obviously ọbụrụ nwa ka unu mali ha na-eme na politics. Emute abi apasi alọ ebugo agbada ịghọta emekata. So, but one other thing, Buna, he is the CEO of MCC Construction Company, I think. Is it Monia Construction Company, right? Is it MCC or RCC? No, I think it's MCC. Yeah, that's MCC, right? Okay. So that's it. So in case onye na-ajụnụ, again, onwero for ụmụnna guys na ha to prepare afia. I think what the tweet Professor Patton Melo bulu something ga-agba anyị ume. Ihunu ya ama bụ na ka mma atụ nke a n'inu na ihe a na-ekwukwanụ bụ na ọ bụrụ ọkwa niile ka a na-enye ofeke n'ala Igbo, ofeke arachi Igbo. So for ndị okenye, for ndị okwu na-elu n'ọnụ inyosia ihe niile wee manye aka wee si n'ọnwa nna ya ndị nke si n'ofe mmiri ka aya enye ọkwa ka ọchịa ndị Igbo. Ọ bụrụ na Chukwu kwelu kwado debe ya ndụ, debe anyị ncha ndụ n'afọ 4, ọ dịghọ nka ọ bụ something anyị eje tụbakwazi aka because ya bụ ngwugwu adịgwo n'aka anyị. And unu nekwa anya wee fụ ka ndọrọndọrọ ọchịchị dị na Rivers si wee dị. Ọ ya adịkwa mma n'uche nke m ife kwuru ife akwudobe ya, maka na arasị onye mkpụmkpụ ji weta ife dị n'uko ọ ya ebu oche gbago ka ọ ya ebu nkwa. Na ọ bụ na onye ogologo nọlụ isi ya weta ife dị n'uko, onye ogologo nọdụ isi ya weta ife dị n'uko ọkwụla aka. Ọ dịka ebe ndị ụmụnne m ndị agụata na masị na a na-ama atụ otu ọhụrụ dịka ọdụ n'oru ọ bịawa amaghị gị aka. So ọ bụla ụka bụla ịnụ.
Ọ dị mma ka m kọwaa ịma na ụfọdụ ife ya bụ ikwuo like this, ọ bụrụ onye ọbụla ghọtara ya ọfụma, maka ọ bụrụ onye ọbụla ma Igbo, mana ekwesịkwara ka ịghọta Igbo nke ọbụla ịghọtara jekwaje jụọ ese. Ofeke mean onye na-aghọtara ife a na-akọ, onye amarọ ka esi eme. So if on a call when I did tinye na-amara ọrụ na leadership n'ife ndị Igbo. So na onye ọbụla efu arụtalụ si na ọ ga-eso wee zọọ na eneghị anya fa nwere criteria fa ji choose ndị a ga-nominate so enego fa anya wee fụ ife fa lụgolo fụ ebe fa si pụta fụ ụdị ndụ fa na-ebi wee malụzie ma fa ga-alụ nwa ọrụ a ma onwe ka esi wee vote olu onye anwa. Like John Mbata na-ekwu abụgo senator before for Rivers State, representing Rivers East constituency in Rivers State, in the Fourth Republic. So ọ bụrụ taa ka ya na ọchịchị bido and ọ gụrụ akwụkwọ nwee ma masters ọ gụrụ ife niile mụnwa dịkwa happy na ọ dịrọ too young ọ dịrọkwa too old, so o nwee ike ọ dịla ya ofele i connect with ndị dị young at the same time dịkwa completely in touch with ndị dịgolo okenye nnukwu maka na I needed that kind of connection ka enwekwanụ ka esi wee nwee that ka ife a ga-akpọ ya now relationship ka mkpọ ya relationship so that onye bụ onye isi aghọta ife na-eme kịta gbasara ụmụaka ndị a na-akpọ ndị youth na-egwu ya maka social media ọ mara ife ị na-ekwu ghọta ka o si work mara how to be part of it or how to join, how to connect with ụmụaka maka na asị na ịchọ o nwere ife part Tommy kwuru one day many years ago. Ọ sị two things ka okwu. One of them was if you want to connect with the youths, you go to where they are and meet them and speak in the language they understand and play with them if you have to sometimes. Osikwa, I have learned one lesson. Don't ever get in between the youths in what they are doing unless you are coming to show them the way, So all them way twice we're working on at this about age at 60 something years. I got the line easier. Just like can busy me. His Excellency Peter Obi. If you be na water young people very, very well compared to ndị as well teaching. Ndị cause that water they find akọ. Maka na fa kago nka nnukwu, Ọ bụ na okenye abụrụ ezigbo ife kama na onwede ọchịchị a ga-need onye ga-etinye nwaanyị everywhere nyochasia ife niile ka ọ bụ ọ na-afụ ife from enu ọ na-afụ nke na ana asị ka mgbanye nke anwa ngwa Chioki gaa n'iru.
Dal. So after more check onye Nnewi kan I just want to say that I haven't spoken for a long time, so I'm not able to speak for an extended period of time in Igbo. Because when so okay, I'm so often, so I'm not able to speak for an extended period of time. So eventually, and for me, today is a very sad day for me personally because of the result and outcome of this Ohanaeze Ndigbo election. And some of the things I've been making comments since even makes me even more sad, only because we everybody on this call know that in 4 years or 3 years nothing is going to change. We all know it, but we're in that mindset where we just keep rotating. All the attributes and all the things you could because about Senator Mbata is the reason why we don't need him. We don't want him. Ohanaeze Ndigbo, we have to, yeah.
Chalo,
sorry, go.
Anma ife na-ekwu anma what ebe aga mana I nga like iwelu nwa na-ekwu
But that's why
tinye some respect
yes, I understand that. I understand that. So I'm just trying to if that's why I started by saying if I'm allowed to just speak frankly. Even
you can speak frankly at the same time speak respectfully.
No, what I said was because we are reeling out his credentials, senator. That is the reason why we do not need him for Ohanaeze Ndigbo, because his loyalty is already divided, and he's from that same framework we're trying to remove ourselves from. So we need an Ohanaeze Ndigbo leader who will be able to articulate the yearnings of the Igbo people and project it forward to the future. Not someone that is still moving around in the same old circle that would not take us anywhere. So his credentials are exactly what we do not need. So when I hear people saying he's this former senator and even if you see the people congratulating all these governors, these are people that have not been able to get anything right. So Ohanaeze Ndigbo has to be above the fray. And I can tell you now, you don't have to be a soothsayer. In 3 years, 4 years, nothing will change. Is this Ohanaeze should be managed in a scientific way. That's why this Ohanaeze, in almost how many years now, we don't have a reasonable database of Igbo people. We're not able to contribute. We can't contribute. They get money from governors. So the same framework, we're just oscillating the same framework. And it hurts me so much that the Ohanaeze Ndigbo is the main core of it is someone who's an administrator that would move us forward, not the same old people. It can't take us anywhere. And this idea of age is too painful for me, because where I work, the person that is leading it is 39 years old. 39 years old woman is hiding where I work, a company of billions and billions. So the point is, age is not an issue here. A 39-year-old person can be Ohanaeze, head of Ohanaeze. The idea that we need someone that is old, who's been governor, who's been this, who's been part of the whole corrupt structure, we have to go beyond that, please. And we have to take Ohanaeze Ndigbo seriously. And a young, because I heard someone talking about the young person.
Sorry, let me interject. I
Can
have
I just finish? Can I
this
just
guy
finish this
on the
one line?
phone,
Sorry,
please.
sir. Can I just finish this one line? Sorry, please. The
Hold
point
on,
I was making was,
hold
I
on,
heard
buddy.
someone making a point about age. It doesn't matter your age, is what's behind you. If you have a 20-year-old leading Ohanaeze Ndigbo, he's as powerful as the combined effect of all Igbo people. So we don't need a 100-year-old person to command respect. If you're 20 years old and you sit there, the fact that you are Igbo people. Igbo people are very serious people. I mean, it hurts me so much. I was on holiday in Iceland. There's an Igbo union. Igbo people are very serious people. But when you have the apex body so unserious, and the people around it, everything is all, it's so painful. And I can bet you, and I'll say this and I'll just stop. 4 years we're still around in this. We're still going oscillating in the same framework. Thank you very much.
I'm going to be people, but
Let
like I
me.
said before, I got one katana without being completely without disregarding the fact that I know about our elders. You know, we have to
Mbata, I'm 49
some
years old. I
respect.
understand what you're saying. I'm 49 years old. I understand what you're saying.
And
I'm just saying that
Can I respond to
because
him
I said we
before we
don't
bring
need
our
them
guest
doesn't
in?
mean I'm
okay.
disrespecting them.
Let me allow
Thank you, sir.
Marcy Ezoke to respond to you.
Thank
Now,
you.
Biko, you see here, ọ bụrụ na isi na-eke ihe a na-atọ ikwu ka ọ na-atọ gịnị? 25-year-old can run Ohanaeze, 35 years old can run Ohanaeze. Anyị anọghị America, nke anyị ji anọ UK, anyị anọghị Germany. You have that nine well a system, you have a social cultural organization that na enwe ihe na-asị na nwoke abịago of age, right? Yes, you can strike a balance. Or yeah, bro, political organization not too young to run. Anyị na-ekwu ka ihe na-atọ ka ya ekwu ka o si atọ. Go to Afenifere. Afenifere had their former head, that's Fasoranti. Fasoranti is in, I think, is about 96 now. Eventually
Yes.
handed over to Paya Adebanjo. Paya Adebanjo is 94. I'm not saying we
Yes.
should emulate, but we can, you know, ka mmadụ ga-alụ ọ dị ka ịpụta ijide nke gị gbuo ya kịrịkịrịkịrị. Onwe age ọ ya bụ ịnọlịpụta nke bụ eziokwu bụ na onwe ebe ọ ya bụ batali self ịnọlụ ka nwa ogburu. Ọ na-abụkwa n'ife kwuru ife akwụdobe ya. But I'm not, you know, it's neither here nor there. Couple of years back, I was like you. Sometimes when you take a step backwards,
Yes.
it took me time to begin to say, okay, because you work at 4 years, 4 years, okay, Guinea. You know, during the time of Nyanwood, onye maka esi wee lụọ alụ ha website. Just even ihe a na-ekwu mgbe ebidoro mgbe Labour Party enwero website was almost non-functional. But when the people came in, everything ebido na-eme ya, okay, this, that, ịghọta nke onye ya eweta. The reason why we are even doing this, part of it bụ na ka anyị nwa were aka anyị, those things anyị nwa ma na ọrụ emezi ka anyị kwaba ha aka. Mgbe ọ ga-abụ, if we begin to demand, I want on this Twitter space that every 6 months, Ohanaeze president must come and speak to Ndigbo or whichever means I want. We demand it. I want ka a na-achị. But ịpụta gwa onye ọbụla na na-eme nke a 4 years na o nwere ihe ya emenume nke a, Ngwana onye ona na ngweje na kpola 4 years
But
nwere ihe ya eme.
I wasn't
Right?
saying that. What I was trying
So
to say was the issue is just like someone will exam. You don't study for exam. You don't have to be a soothsayer to know that you will fail that exam. Ask him that the person that we have now, because this person with a background, ask him that this person cannot take us far. But I understand the point you were
why
saying.
would, sorry, with
This
all
is
due
just my own
respect,
opinion,
no,
and I
why
hope
would
I'm wrong.
someone, because na somebody attain a particular posture,
Yeah.
ihe ji wee kwuo na onwe ndị na-make comment, we have never heard of this person, we just
Yeah.
said this is okay, nekwe onye dị ha ka ndị mmadụ wee malụ kọpụta ụfọdụ na-ajụ ka
Welcome.
state ọ bụ or whatever.
Yeah.
Now nobody is hyping him, nobody is promoting him also. Ihe bụ na onye dị onye a, this is what he was, na address ya. So it behoves on us to find, if we go out here today without saying okay, na nekwana 1 2 3 ọ ga-abụ mbọsị ọ bụ na anyị nwudeli ya nekwe ihe anyị ga-asị ya, because the essence, for instance, the reason why I started even doing the one I'm doing is to have something on record. Ọ ga-abụ after 2 years we'll benchmark you, na nekwe ihe gwara anyị na ị ga-eme o ka ebe anyị nọ.
True.
But if you don't have anything,
Accountability.
if you're not engaging, what are you benchmarking?
But
So, but
I totally agree with you. The point I was making was, I mean, for me, because I saw all your interviews. The only person that actually got me there was Uche Okuku. That's the only person that from your interviews, because I watched your interview very keenly, and that's the only one that got me. My problem is that only a man with a problem cannot fix a problem you don't know about. Like what you're saying now, website, this, that, this. I know it sounds like, as Hasapu say, Turanchi, but the point is, we can't have a massive organization like Ohanaeze and Ndigbo that tries to articulate the future for the Igbo people and not have these little things. I know it sounds very
n'anya
I mean,
bikokwa, without sounding repetitive,
yes.
n'anya mgbe ebido I railed out the positions enwe n'Ohanaeze. Enwekwa a lot others na-eme. In fact, very powerful that we all ignore bụ Secretary General of Ohanaeze. During the time, I think Ben Nwabezedem, you know, in some cases the Secretary General is even more powerful than the PG, because it's PG but none of the common or apụta, but Secretary General that normally hoeme yanwa bụ onye that is out there. Anyway, finally anyị nwe nwanne anyị nwoke ebe a ka anyị try ya mama ya work. Chief Kalu, ị na-anụ?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Ngwa unu
Okay.
anụrụ ya biko.
Ana n'ifo na-ekwu. Ana n'onu ya.
Ngwa Chuka, ngwa kwubazikwanụ na
Okay.
etinye m fonu na-abụ ha na-abụ na-amarị onwe ha.
Okay. Chief Kylo, Dialogue for joining us on this conversation. I want to change you go. Niwa putala oge we siki so live nkata na abani ya. We appreciate that. So I say ka I mega engage magono no. Onwo for that join na ba na aju. Maazi Ezoke sika and ajụjụ abụkwa na ajụjụ a ga-enye ndị nọ n'ọchịchị Ohanaeze ndị Igbo ka ha wee kọwara anyị. So ya ka anyị ji wee sị ka anyị mama ga-akpọbata gị na nkata ka isoro anyị ekwu bana ka anyị repụgodi ka anyị nyegodi gị ohere ka ibidogodi wee gwa anyị ife ya gwa anyị based on ife na-anụ since ị na-ege anyị ntị. You can go on and speak because
Okay. Well, I said ka. Okay, I see ekene na ba ya mo ya breba. Ekene munu. Anọ m ebe a eri ebido. Mgbe na-akpọ egwu ndị Igbo be anyị wee na-eche. So mmadụ ịtọ bụ ndị batago. So I can say that I have listened to the conversations from the beginning. Ike agwụgo m ịgwakwa unu nke eziokwu. It was almost midnight and I've been out since morning. But I'll just be very brief, and if I finish, I might excuse myself, then probably I can re-engage. But first and foremost, Abram Onye Ọchịchị Ohanaeze, I have just been a concerned Igbo man, and I liked the spirit of the young man from Newi who spoke last. That was the same spirit I came back from Russia in 1999, and I've done nothing else than this Ohanaeze thing. So I will just share pieces of my experiences, and then say a few things about what happened today, and then try and respond to the question, which we haven't even started answering. Ohanaeze PG elections, what does the future hold? So, nke mbụ ekene m onye bidoro ife akene kwuo Maazị Tochukwu. Sincerely, he's been very dedicated in what he's doing. Maybe from bits and pieces of my own anecdotes, where I'm going to. Last 4 years, when the election on Ohanaeze, it was held in Owerri. He, in conjunction with Emeku Ugwoju, did organize and set up a platform where the president generals were interviewed, those who want to run, the aspirants, and then the secretary generals. I ran to be the secretary general of Ohanaeze. What were my experiences and credentials? Like I said, from 1999 till now that I speak with you, if I've done any other job on a day-to-day basis, it's been the Ohanaeze matter that's bothered me on a Jumola. I've written so much about it, I've argued, I've fought, and I've engaged. The first president of Ohanaeze in our modern times, Justice Ezebwilo Ozobu, who was the first Chief Justice of Enugu State. I was his personal assistant. So I was part of the whereby a government house in Ebonyi State on series and series of meetings of IMOBI Constitutional Drafting Committee that came up with this present constitution that we have been running up till now. It took a while to take that decision, and it divided the house. And I can tell you for free that people like Ono, Anine Fungu or Fungo, and people like Ojuku, and my boss, Ezebwilo Zobo, and a few others, felt rotating the presidency of Ohanaeze or the leadership of Ohanaeze was going to be problematic. They made their arguments. However, I recall very well that in Nyanwodo and a few others made very powerful cases for the rotation because of the situation we were in. Do not recall that this conversation started in 2000, dragged on till about 2003. And if any one of us will remember,
I know it loud and clear.
okay. So if we can recall the historical incidents that were happening around then, that was the height or the period Ebidolo put a panel. So there was this need and this interest that Ndigbo should begin to pull together. We did a good work between Mobo, who was the lead son, and Umade, who is now late. They did a very good job. I was part of the team that did their research for them. But even when we refer to Oputa panel, it has nothing to do with what we're talking about the Constitution. Was that around that same period, people like Chukwu Merije, Nyanwodo, and a few others felt that no, I quietly showing some gestures towards our people in the fringe states. And that was a solid argument, and it won the day. Before then, there had been attempts by Ebitu Kiwe with an organization on Abokosas, which was a coalition of Southeast and then South-South leaders coming together to try and bridge the gap. It was quite successful until a point where the question of who leads or who becomes a deputy or who becomes a secretary. The last meeting I attended of that group was in Owerri in 2004. And after that, we never met again. Now, that constitution passed with a very narrow margin of voting. And we've practiced that constitution. Maybe after this, I will share what I wrote about 2 months ago, when the argument was, in fact, people came going around the country to convince people that it must not go to rivers. I, for one, has always believed nkata umunapa. I agree. There is no need, even if you are the last man standing from the original people that made that agreement, you must live with it, even if you don't like it. And that is how Igbo land have sustained itself. We don't go halfway and change the rules. So now, Anya Lutego to this election, it is my firm belief, and I believe in it, that this going to rivers may not have the full impact of what we think we want, but we have taken one tiny step towards healing the wounds of the war. I think I can tell you one of the things that dawned on me this afternoon when the votes were called, or when the consensus were called, I took a deep breath and said, finally, the war is over. For me, that is very significant. Not because Mbata won, or because the election was fair or unfair. It is simply because one last argument the Igbos, the 5 core Igbo states have put on the table is that we have continued to embrace you. But we will continue to do what senior brothers will do to younger brothers. And that is what we did today. We are brothers, we continue to remain brothers. That is what I took away from that hall. Now, we talked about Jackson Omenazo and talked about Okuku. Jackson Omenazo I have known for quite a long time. He used to come to meetings of Ohanaeze from Port Harcourt with Francis Ella about the period I was talking about. And he was constant, and on several occasions he had hosted Ohanaeze troop or Ohanaeze group that visited Port Harcourt. There were quite a lot of them that were very active then, including late Eze Woluche. All these were people who, irrespective of what their people thought, believed till they died that they were Igbos. And Ndigbo, Ohanaeze, so what we have just done today is to say to them, you can go on and rest in peace because what you fought for, Amotago Ife. I don't know Mbata, so I can't hold brief for him. I met him for the first time today, and I watched and observed him quite closely, how he carried himself. I think he's a young man with a good head on his shoulder. I don't know what he will bring to the table. Let us wait until he makes, or he takes his first public engagement and gets to bring out his policies and ideas. But one thing you can be sure is that what Mazi Ezuoke referred to at the beginning is that we brought in quite a few people, and most of the team, I know them, and I know what each and every one of them brings to the table. The young man, Bismarck Orji, used to be, when Ozobu was the president, used to be amongst the Ohanaeze youths and all that. And I'll give you a little background about the young man. He's now 50 years old. You can now, since then, how old he was when he started following Ohanaeze. One thing is sure, that slowly and quietly, we've started blooding some new faces into Ohanaeze. The fact that Noba got a leadership position, even as an assistant publicity secretary, is a triumph for us too. Because as a young man, Unumeze plus or minus, how old he was in 2000, when I started seeing him in Ohanaeze, he was in Ohanaeze youth and all that. So going back to this young man that spoke last, I like your spirit and I like what you said. Mana, if a man has not taken a step, and you condemn where so no young work up. I got up here. You make an outline if what you're in me. Oh, you know, madam, so got miss you on here. I got up here. Go see can I come where and you wear malo. One other thing that has emerged is that there is a good mix in that team that could create a solid balance. Some of them are progressives, some have socialist thoughts, and some have traditionally embedded with the Igbo culture. Some are good politicians, and some have tried their hands in so many things. So what we have tried to bring in, or what happened today, which we wouldn't know until we begin to see what directions they want to take. So in general, Jackson Omenazu, ain't any claim whatsoever to make himself president or to claim he's this or that. I need a Basimba. I referred the fact that I was interviewed equally by Ezoke 4 years ago when I ran for secretary. I can tell you Paul now because it's all there in the public space. I campaigned, I reached out, they screened me, they interviewed me, I presented, paid because they would demand your tax clearance for 5 years. And these are documents you submit in advance and they run checks. And they did a good job, the steering committee. And MSC asige, upon a pass, I say take a bow. Then I wagon a pass go. Yes, credentials he get you will be election. I want you know secret ballot. And I was quite confident that all the names I was hearing, including Okemadinobi, who ran again and is now the deputy president. He ran for secretary, Chuksi Bebu, and then Ambassador Emuche. Emuche, I'm not saying this in anger or against him. I never saw him in Ohanaeze, not for one day. Up until that day, I saw him at the election. And I was barred, practically barred from entering the stadium. And I managed to enter. Mwa, Ibebu, and one other person who was running. We sat, we were waiting, and it was very clear or that there was a decision that only those whom most of the governors want or approve, those are the ones that will pass. I didn't have such backing, and as much as you would like to believe it or not, even in Ndigbo, it will be very difficult to find that which does not or would not cost you money. But then as Mbata, was he Secretary General Papa? No Lugo Mbaga Tolani. I stood there, and against all odds, people were surprised. How come? Because that's how I interpreted the gaze and the look of people on me. How did he manage to come in or whatever? But I did come in, so they had no choice. Because that would cause a scandal with all the cameras there. 3 minutes to speak. I spoke, but I didn't. I earlier wanted to say I didn't say anything. And all I said was, mark today. If we go down this lane, we may have a problem fixing it tomorrow. Facing front. Strange enough, even the people that I come from the same village with did not vote for me. For those of you who know Abreba and how close we are, because instructions have been given that it should happen that way. But this is just to take us back and then bring it back to what happened today. So today, Ayabago election. Again, in the conversation, it was surprising why the vast number of people in an electoral committee. The answer is very simple. Overall rocket science. Don't forget that the elections don't just, what happened in Enugu is a consummation of what has been happening in all the Igbo-speaking areas over the past 1 week. Out of the electoral committee, send it to states. If you are from Ebonyi, the likelihood is that you will be sent to Delta. If you are from Enugu, you will be sent to Abia. If you are from this, so from these, a break will fall down. We send the FR to go and conduct local government elections and state elections. So that's why that vast number, because Amambon, a very small number going from one state to another to conduct that. So that's one reason why it is done. Secondly, this election or elections as it is now consume a whole lot of brain power. So outside the steering committee, outside the screening committee, we have a security committee, we had the media committee, which I am part of. I'm actually not the head. The head never showed up, Bishop, one bishop from Iten. But he never showed up until these elections happened, but he was there. Then we had entertainment committee and several other committees so that this work will be made much more easier and unburdened. And don't forget, each of these committees filing reports on a daily basis on progresses and all that. And we reconvene. Like yesterday, I know there till 2 a.m. Day before yesterday, it was the same thing. And if I didn't under tremendous pressure, people just coming out of holidays or those who are still in holidays, one burials or the other. So when you join, you become part of the process. So these are all the things we did. And the screening committee, even were there long beyond when we left. It was announced that Faga a close screening by midnight yesterday. But when the chairman, Chief Onya, saw the number of people that were interested, both young, both old, irrespective of your age bracket, we did extend it till noon today. So we could have started earlier, but we didn't start early because everybody who showed interest was screened, and on the strength of that there was a delay. I had some conversations about age bracket. As long as you're 18 years or above, that is clear, you are a member of Ohanaeze. You become constitutionally eligible to be voted for and to vote when you belong to a local chapter and when you pay your dues. At least that much is the system and what has been obtainable. Now, I won't stay here as an Igbo son and tell you that what happened today was perfect. I won't say that. That would be unjust to our intelligence and to the many people who felt wronged. However, I make ICM address issues and problems from community to community. And when you look around Igbo land, it's almost the same way. We do not resort to burning down the house simply because we do not like one aspect of it or the other. Yesterday we had a heated debate and I asked a simple question. And when in a family to dethrone the father, because I would like to hear that. Because we cannot dethrone our father and then usurp his position and then play the role of a father. And then even if that happens, would you do that to the end? Which equally implies that which equally implies that you will do all sorts of things in Igbo. Now, why did I use this to create a platform for what I need to say now? Why it is important, or why I think they have always gone for somebody who has attained a particular age. It's not just because the person has achieved, I felt what the idea was, which is a compromise between those who wanted rotation and those who did not want rotation, is to have a stable hand, a stable head. But it is for 7. This is the 7th state. It is only when we got to Imo that we were unfortunate to have 2 quick succession of deaths. And I shock you. The question the host Jolo, why was there a gap between when Iwanyanwu died and when somebody took over? I shock you that the Deputy President General constitutionally voted for and elected for the Ambassador Obiozo was a Rivers man. He died 1 week before Obiozo died, or just about the same time. Emisilia before Abia knew Obiozo. So if you're looking at the Imo, that man from Rivers wasn't that old. He should be in his 50s or probably 60. So you can't say for sure whether if you elect a 30-year-old man or a 70-year-old man that he wouldn't die, because Anyabro Chuku. But what we should be really looking at is the original question that was at what were the criteria for the interviews and the screening. One of the things is that almost something I will share, but I may not be able to share it now because if I go off from here, this thing may go off. So I can share with you okay later, and if anybody chats me on WhatsApp, I can equally share it. Which were the basic criteria we've set for ourselves. But on the whole, let me just summarize because Chiejigo, the young man from Newi who is 40 something now, I heard him well, and several others who are here. 10 years ago, none of us would have been interested in what was happening in Ohanaeze. For me, that is a major breakthrough for us. If we consistently continue to create awareness and have these conversations in various places about who we are, what we want, I think a time is coming, and sooner than later, when it will be very, very possible, not just to have those in lower age brackets, but to have a good mix where the young, the old can come to create a platform where we could bring out ideas to develop Igbo land. I agree with Mazi Ezoke. It is how much we hold these people responsible and accountable that matters. It isn't really the other way around. So even Nayo and even Neku in summary, I make an election. It isn't the best of elections. But bearing 1 or 2 people, I think this team looks close to the best team we've had in a long time. And like I said, let us watch and see what policies Mbata will come up with. Let us see the drift it will go. And do they love Wana? Mbata zojo okwu anya gbakanyere ya egbe. Ibe nkwe kwu okwu a bụ na unu elofukwana that there was a president general named Iruku who was in bed with Obasanjo and worked tirelessly for a 3rd term for him. For those who have been following Ohanaeze and the history, it didn't go down well. So Ndigbo abro ndị aga na-akpagharị. Even the woman, all of us should have our eyes on the ball. We should all be involved. And if I get America, and what we are having this night is a very good place to start.
Okwu ga-amaka daalụ nne Mr. Carlo. Eziokwu.
Chief Carlo.
Okay, ana m na-ajụkwa. Biko ewe n'iwe
bịa Chuka chelu okwu abago n'okwu ndị nze. Biko ihe analụgodo ịtọ n'ikuku nalụ ịtọ. Ofelila agụ nalụ ịtọ. Ọ ya adịle mma Chuka. Because ịma na ihe bụ like he said ndị bido since ụtụtụ wee na-eme ha biko ọ bụ na ya ajụ quick questions so that we'll let him go.
Ọ bụrụ ajụjụ ka m chọrọ ịjụ ya. Okay, ọ ajụjụ bụ na ọ bụrụ ajụjụ maka nkata ya na-akpa now. Obi sọrọ m ụsọ na ịbatara n'okwu a because ka isi ekwu okwu gosiri na ịbụ ụdị mmadụ na-ekwu eziokwu ebe ọ bụla ị nọ. No matter whose ass is God, and ọ dị mmadụ gị ka ndị Igbo ji aga n'iru. So ebe ọ bụ na anyị nwere onye dị etu a na Ohanaeze, ọ ga-adị mma ọ bụ na anyị ga-akpọnwụ gị sometimes anyị na-aga kpalịa nkata Manankanwa, anya apa no rank off ma. Maybe one day na anya ga no na Twitter space. Rank cut off ma. Juga sisi ajuju. You know, a cover line because it will get a lot today. And I am get a lot of things, but I come up with a lot. So when I again with that kind of engagement, oh yeah, you like a lot. So again you want that time. Again you avail yourself to us. No again abia. We can also invite you. I like Balian Kata. I will say eventually. Man, Dalwin again. No matter how difficult it was for you to speak, you waited patiently until eventually we found a way to connect with you. That patience, we appreciate it so much. And Oga Masem Obuna in again we came here off man.
Not so bad, Ro. I am available any day, anytime. And Adam Obina Somosona, even in that was like a dream for me, is now materializing that it's okay from his London base, I don't know where you're based, and several others I'm seeing on this space are having this conversation. We will be elsewhere doing other things. And no sacrifice is too much for Ndigbo. Not one. I can tell you that for free. But beyond the request you made, my strength will lie most in tapping some of these names that probably you may not have a way to reach, but I can promise you I will reach most of them and get them to come and speak with you people, because the more these things are exchanged, the better. Even though you were Kaliani, Bona, they write books, they keep diaries, and when they die, they bequeath it to whatever organization they like. There's also who I mentioned, first Chief Justice of Enugu State, first President of Ohanaeze in modern times. Where is his story? Where is his biography? Nowhere. Ojukwu wrote something, but he didn't write everything. Chukwumerije is gone. Where is his book? Ike Dife was president from Anambra. Where's his story? Uwechwe, I worked with. Where is his story? He even sent me as an ambassador to represent Ohanaeze in settling a case in Mali. I went there twice. I will shock you. The population of Ndigbo living in Bamako is over 8,000 with their families. I was shocked, very shocked. So these are men and women that have lived and died, but all we know is their name. We didn't know their heartbeats, we didn't know their struggles. They left nothing for us except the conceptions or preconceptions or biases that we have over each of them. So my promise will be, since I've seen the kind of thing that is going on here, let them come and talk to us and let us hear your story. And the younger generation want to ask questions so that we can make progress.
Please, can I ask
Biko,
one question, sir? Please, is it possible?
Biko, asị na onye lile ọjị nkụ gbara ọjị nkụ na-ara alụ ọjị kwada. I know I'm pressing your neck. All could go almost 12 o'clock. Mana biko, allow me just a couple of seconds to madagia kamwani na dadia madabu adabu. Let's allow two people, biko, to ask questions.
I can put in 20 more minutes.
Oh, excellent.
Minutes,
okay, excellent.
I can put in.
Ngwan biko, Chooks, questions, biko.
Biko, can I ask one quick question, Biko?
Ganero.
Good evening, sir. Thank you. Eventually, Joe, a bit from the last statement you made in terms of the institution, because if you in the last 10 years ago, I would not have been interested in Ohanaeze and Ndigbo, but for the last 10 years, the most important thing for me is Iwo Onyibo. It's been something that has just been nudging me for the last 10 years. So I take it very seriously. Mana, going back to what you said, any effort in to build up the institution, Ohanaeze Okon institution called where all our great people will be documented, as you said, documented for Maka and those yet to be born, when you go understand, learn. Then also, when any plan do in the pipeline for us to move away from government money and focus on Ndigbo committed to Ohanaeze, to be able to put 1,000 naira every single year, to be able to build up the funds for Ohanaeze if function, independent of politicians. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Officially, there's been conversations, but nothing is going on. I'm name where a committee, a standing committee in Ohanaeze that should be doing this. Mana, if you go to the secretariat of Ohanaeze, you will know that these things will get that the answer is virtually no. That's nothing like that. Makana, something that has always driven me is books. If we need the lead, obviously for that to be lost. But whatever thing you speak and you don't record, that thing will be lost, because by the time tomorrow 2 people want to narrate the same story, you will have 2 different stories. In 2007, I went as a representative of Ozobu in the company of Professor Joy Ruku and 3 others. We went to Kaduna to have a conversation with General Wushishi on the killings of Ndigbo in the north. Again, I was the youngest in that team. We visited Wushishi in the night in his palace, very massive place, Basiankata. We deputized the Amado for us to take us round. One of the first places they took us the next morning was the Ariwa house. Driving into Ariwa house, it was like Onwekebo aka UNEC or 1/2 of it, or Noraka UNEC, because I wouldn't tell you I saw everything. And one thing that shocked me is that in the Aina Boki, there was a building, a department for Igbo studies, a department for this, a department for that, a department for that. How functional are they? I don't know. But considering how they've been quite astute in keeping power and the way they use it, it shocked me to the bone. I touched Deobo, who was Professor Iruko. He wasn't yet the President General then. He was the chairman of the political committee then. And I asked him, Naiku, is there anything you're seeing here? He said yes. I asked him to be sure that I understood him. He said yes. He said, Eba Aburibo. He's from Item. I'm from Abreba, so we speak the same language. And I was kind of, is this man okay? Am I talking about size, or am I talking about what I'm seeing here? So when we left and went back to the hotel, we sat and we were eating, analyzed. I told him, like, could you see that these people study us? These people study the Yoruba. These people do so much more than just sit here. Ariwa House is massive, and it was then funded by the 19 governors of the North. That was what the DG told us when he was taking us around. Because we were asking, how are you funded? He said, this is how they are funded. That no governor, no matter who you are, what party you belong to, every month you already know what money you are sending to the account. And it is from there they pay the staffs. It is from there they do research. It is from there they do a lot of things. Now bring it back to Ndigbo. From that day till now, Iruku learned something. After we had our conversation, Iruku started building a very massive structure. That structure, now remember, Iruku was the first elected president. We are now in the 7th state. That structure is yet to be completed. That goes a long way to tell you that we have a problem. So if this conversation can mean you that is asking me, and a few others of us here, deciding that, okay, let's start creating a database, irrespective of whether they're important or not, let's just be dumping it there, we would have made a good start. I don't know how this will work. Maybe I'm not thinking through it, but some other people will think through it. But I think there is a need for institutionalizing not just Ohanaeze, because Ohanaeze is just a multi-purpose vehicle. Tomorrow we may decide to change this vehicle, but the Igbo nation, the Igbo people remains, and that should be the thing that is driving us. I don't know if I've tried enough to answer your question.
Yes, sir. Very much so. Thank you very much.
Okay. Honestly, because you are now, more chocolate judge Joseph, can see a fair or say, with Joseph. You know, this is the reason why when I know at them Makaina get bank about can you get Nankine now? All the Panama I make comparison. I never quite offend them me go within Kefaji. If Evaji are wall, you know, and in I know go say by any. And in a father marker. More amaro if Evaji go if a fan everywhere meta. Nyalon de befaka. So, I'm a come na Ohanaeze social cultural group, but at the same time, all the obvious na if ndị Ohanaeze chọrọ ime based on ife fan ekwu bụ na fa chọrọ inyere aka dozie ana Igbo bunite ana Igbo enwe vision enwere ebe a na-eje. So for you to do that effectively, we ga-achọ ka enwee ndị ọchịchị ma ife fa na-alụ a wee tinye fa ọchịchị ndị a na-akpọ gọvanọ in all the states, hold off accountable. So the question, but how do you hold accountable the same people who are funding your projects? It looks so difficult in my eyes and in my mind. Also, Anulum, you make it confirm, yeah, or you can also rebut it. Ekuna, the governors na the states, ebe esi arọpụta onye ga-abụ PG, na-enwe say na ndị a ga-arọpụta. Ndị a ga-nominate. Amara m ma eziokwu mana anọgo m ya before. Ọ dị mma etu ebe a ka e nwee ike confirm or rebut it. But ajụọ na bụ ka m nwere.
You are right on both scores. Let me start with the last one. For some years now, it is becoming more and more evident that Ohanaeze has become an extended bureaucratic platform for the governors. And Obidori since, and Anetimbwe. But because people like you and me didn't answer the call early, or we answered it coldly, that is why each year they become stronger and their grip upon the reins of Ohanaeze becomes stronger. So what is the point I'm making? There is no way a man will fund you, will pay your bills, no matter how small, that he wouldn't make a demand. The higher the bill, the bigger the bill, the more impossible it becomes for you to say no. So over the years, we have tried making series of suggestions, and whereby only not anywhere, an account is available every month. 1,000 naira in whatever currency you are earning your money every month, which practically means that even if in Nigeria, if you can have 12,000 naira. Well, I can imagine Ohanaeze the second largest in every community in Nigeria. If all of them from 18 years and above do pay or even default in paying in full every year, Can you imagine how much money we will have in control? That means, in were any reason, Ijebul governor, see a war hall. In were any reason, is young small chops, Moyanyagi moto, because these things will be available. Or, the case in every community, Igafo, Umaka, Batalego, Pewelu moto, Goteli, Buteli, Igwe, Sini Igwe yana you the mota. Moto ebuteri Igwe bụ moto ebutere ọra. And o buteri ya na nganga. O buteri ya because no way for chọrọ Igwe n'aka. If we get to that point, we can then completely say to the governors, you are just a normal citizen like each and every one of us. I'll tell you, in my village in Abreba, there is a man called Ebitu Kiwe, which all of you know. Ebitu Kiwe is only the number 2 citizen or as big as he is elsewhere, not in Abreba. Because Ebitu Kiwe buru police ya buru army wee bata. Ọ bata ebe anọ n'ọgbọ, ọ ga-eje nọrọ ebe ndị ọgbọ ya nọ. He is not given any preferential treatment. So if I'm paying 1 naira to our communal improvement union, he pays 1 naira too. Obviously, an donation. Of course, we can donate here more. But you will be surprised that if Obunome will donate, there would always be somebody who would donate more. So that way, it doesn't come into the community. That system is still functional in Abreba up till now that I'm talking to you. So if we can bring all these back, first, all of us fund Ohanaeze. Second, all of us ask questions of Ohanaeze because we all pay. If we want a receipt, it is no more every 4 years I be election. When you're gonna be a voter. Or make no sense. It won't work. The governors will step in and they will take over the place. We cannot name for that. Security. If there were 1,000 security men there, I can bet you only 200 Ndigbo. What does he say? Even in I on email, even though I want meeting or election can be and valedictory speeches. But on them, no melota, or drama. The governors be a park Yamoto governor somewhere. A Batako Yibo Norana. Nobody is except Ndigbo. Nandenachianyas at that time. Those are the people we should defer to. But when somebody is already in control of your soul, he would only equally want the control of your body. So that would be my response to your 2 questions. Both of them are the same. If you can't solve one without solving the other, you can't solve the other without solving the other. So they are so intertwined that I need Emma if I get me. But the jury is still out what we are going to do tomorrow. Not just show interest on social media. We need to put our money where our interest lies. Dalo.
Dalo with no. I'm na nkata no kaya gaku more, but I'm on in your line 20 minutes. So I'm on how many minutes if I'm on open I get and your phone yozo or here ka okwu okwu ọjụọ ajụjụ ekwesịzi nke anwa anyị were nwayọ mechie ka anyị ghara keep together for too long. But I promise you na anyị ga-enye get time to go. So ka Jimmy abịa ngwa jụọ. Jimmy, can you hear me? Jimmy. Well, in the absence of Jimmy's question, come on, Josia, the last one on Gaju, mention. As Casey will answer the question about age, odd interesting, but I got like expand or belly. And when they found out Ohanaeze youth, I'm on baby mana Casey will work Albania. Or the cote go bidol, because go get one mother balonka, only Kenya, many years ago, probably up to 10 years. So, Oga can where insurgency, agitation can warm up, Now I do the man. See, in an Ohanaeze or sim, yes. But when I support one the iPod at the same time. Where's here? Now you need the kind of young people who got what I found them. Yes, one way to say fan one. Really, maybe see fan before the too late. I be the one who give. But young people, I'm going to have get to so don't Ohanaeze when name me fan because or drunk if on a man up type enough. Where do be a see? And when if they call Ohanaeze youth, I give you the more Ohanaeze youth. Can the young people we keep better? So maybe fan because oh God, one of my four Ohanaeze as if Ndio Kenya. Also Ndio Kenya name. But now that we are here, I na pasang kata now. Don't want to be so long. I na what wine of ma. One I wonder me was what need for that because I believe Ohanaeze is almost an extension of Igbo State Union, and we're going in the past before the war. The developer league with the first people. Around there, from a fair history, they were young people. I mean, people in their 30s, 20s, 40s. I don't know sure no one before to go 50 years before be the all. So can if you feel I need the layman or Ohanaeze to be able to make it easier for young people to be part of it and play very important roles? Because some things in the now, I want solutions to those issues. I want many ideas in how get not just social media. No, you know, okay, put the same market to ego. Ina anya for ife ndị Igbo megasigolo ma ndị na-emebisila anyị ife o nwere ndị na-atụrụ ofe ego fa ji alụ ọrụ afa na-alụ. So that means o gosi na ndị Igbo na-ewepụta ego n'ife ọbụla fa believe nọ ife kwesịrị ime fa na-ewepụta ego ọzi ka ife a na-present ndị anwa ndị a bụ ndị Igbo na-achọrọ ime ga-eme fa ga-eji wepụta ego fa, you know. So ife na-ajụ bụ onwelu ka e ga-esi wee restructure Ohanaeze in a way that it will make it very accommodating for young people. I need nwekwana need inwezi Ohanaeze youth, but enwe general Ohanaeze onye ọbụla ga-abata nwunye ya lụọ ọrụ tụọ alụ jụọ ajụjụ, you know, than otu ọ dị kịta.
Ohanaeze is a work in progress. The Ohanaeze I met from 1999 is not the same Ohanaeze that is functional today. So, all the very possible. And we can make it possible. The enthusiasm I see whenever there's an election and whenever there's the political season in Ohanaeze, I want to see that enthusiasm transferred to all the silent months and silent years when there is nothing that is existentially on the table looking at us. So, if I get married, yes, there's been Ohanaeze youth from the time I started getting involved way back, but their functions has changed from time to time. And today, I can tell you that the Ohanaeze body, the national body, is not even in control of the Ohanaeze youth, because they need to pay paper today. Ohanaeze youth makes statements as if it is the national body making statements. And when the press will report it, Ohanaeze says, kill everybody. Go on your go paper sensation. I see the one big bad that was a Guziana or Buru Kerika mother Nelu bed Afiambo form Ohanaeze in a bedroom here. So these are challenges that can only be addressed if we all begin to get engaged more and more. And our elders, sad to say, I have to confess to you, I've engaged them on this. I don't want anything in here that I would not like to be quoted. Everything in here, anybody can quote me. Because this bothers me. I've given a substantial part of my life to this. So at 60 years, I've me very much. Now, no Kenyani are not helping. Where do you get the highest concentration of our elders? Ija Abuja, Fabide, Ije Lagos. I'm from those who are close to me. Ebo Professor Anya, on Lagos. A boy Bitukiwe on Lagos. A boy Kali Dikakalo on Lagos. A boy Dr. Melazo on Lagos. A boy Alice Madeke. I will remove him because last year, Kopa Kirivia were na Enugu. Since they are busy in Lagos. Obia Lagos highest organ of 2 days on that. That I can forgive. Ija Abuja, and these people are very happy living here. That is why Ndigbo is vacant and there is vacuum everywhere. Because Wakene Mobuna Ndubisi Ibiduki were now with all the Esther code Okana and Egoni Nona with Ndamine Sue. Now Makaya Bia Wari and Ebono. Wakenem Nando Kenya Nana their villages, Jebilu. O wetara n'aka 1st January ije ebe ọbụ na alọpụsigie 2nd February na plane na ebe kedu ife na-eje ewe tụpụ ụkwụ gụba newspaper. So the point is that they are not helping us. So you can't even have any meaningful conversation. Most of the people year in year out ebi Ohanaeze ọkụ ofu ife aka ị ga na-afụ. Because we nwere ife ọzọ ma na-arụ and they are not adding value. And the only way you can engage is if we are present. So I'm not Mama Saga joking, but these are things that burn my heart, and it hurts me that big they may retire a Manna village. Even a retirement of these people are making, they are even working more than us. Bomazi. So all of the Ohanaeze Kabweloro Hanaro. So let us all get involved, irrespective of where you live, because that is the only way we can get back the soul of our people. Dalono.
Daalụ if Erike ma bụrụ ndị na-ekwu okwu. Maazị, ka anyị chịkọnatazie ya.
ịma na a sị na ọgba mgbada gbasi egwu bọọ ike ma na ife ọ mụtara na egwu agwụna na dịka o si dị na aya ewetazi ije a na isi njedebe na ara ebidokwa n'ụka ebido otu mbọsị kwutie ya kwubie ya mbọsị ebe ịma na ọrụ ezi ụka anyị ekwulugo na anyị ekwu na anyị ekwukwazi mgbe ọzọ. Ndị unu nwa bụ ndị Twitter na-ejela ozi, biko unu ya emechizi unu mechie ka anyị nwajewekwa, mana tupu m anya na-emechi mma sị gị High Chief ibe m, ekene m gị, mma ebunye gị akpụkpọ ekene na mkpọla ịza because ewego m anya nwụrụ onye na-ebe evuma amarọ, mana ewego m anya gbaa ogige nkere onye ọya bụ akpọ ka ọ bịa ka anyị na-akpa nkata ka a ghara ite ya bụ okwu ude wee bịakwanụ. Ọ bụrụ na nsi n'ihe ndị mmadụ na-ekwu na-ede n'igwe ihe a ifu na onye ọbụla na-akụrụ ya aka na ịgbọ ife ewu na-ata, maka na ijiri ụjọ dị ekorobịa ya bụ okwu ikwuli ya bụ okwu ahụ ihe a sị na a na-agba okwu ekwusi alụma mbem maka na ikwuteke ya and onwekwana onye ituwe egwu wee kwukwana ya otu o si wee dị mma. Ihe ọzọ anyị ga-emezi bụ na ihe anyị bidogo anyị ga-ebido ya, Chukwu nyi solu nye aka na anyị ga-ebido wele ya na-aga n'iru. Anyị na-adị kwụsị afọ mgbe ọzọ dịkwa dịka nwanne m nwoke si wee kwuchi ụka na anyị na onye ọzọ ya ekwukwa. Ajụjụ bụ nke mbụ sị gị na ebe ị nọ mgbe PG ọnụ ya ka anyị malụ ma ọ ya bịa mbọsị ụka ka anyị na ya kwuo iwee zakwanụ ma etu o si dị. But I'm still, I'm not giving up because it's part of that holding our leaders to account. Anyị ncha niile nwezikwana onye bụ ụmụazị, anyị nchezokwana bụ na leader abụ a na-ekwu, mana mgbe ọbụla eme mmadụ elect ịma na leadership akaligwo ibi ya, floor member na chairman na-arụ ofu. But na ndị bụ anyị kwetegosi na agbakọ kwanye nwa n'onunu na ọrụ awa n'afa onye nke a bụ onye agbakọtago ọnụ n'Enugu tata wee kwanye na ya bụ onu na ọ ga-awọkwa n'afọ and anyị nwa bụ ndị Igbo anyị ama bunye ya nnu hakpo ya mmiri anyị ga-enye aka n'ụdị nke anyị ga-enye olu ebe anyị akwa aka anyị akwa olukwa n'ebe anyị ga-asị na ara emeti ya anyị ama ntụkwa n'ụjọ wee kwu na ara emeti ya maka na like etu ntị ikwu na mbụ na o nwere Igbo ka ibie nwere onye na steeti nke a na o si na Igbo nke ya ka mma karịa na nke onye ọzọ bụ ihe a o wee bụrụ ya biko nwanne m ekenekwa nga ọzọ wee deme na ịnọnyere anyị udo dịle
udo kachifonu daalụnụ
Kachifo.
Dalo Kachifo.
Chief, I send you a message na Twitter. We can check is here.
Okay, I will. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. So that's it.
All right.
I think that's it from my. Yeah.
Email of my where bonite Chief Carlo goes to line with man katano. I can imagine boy while we may if I call or the guy too because na all them being a kuma kamado and even the mad name. Ikekwa fantika fa kwuo wolo onwe fa sapọ ọnụ awe na awọta onwe anyị and ọ gara ọfụma ka anyị si wee mee ya mana m ga-ekwu nke a dị outside the conversation ka isi atụ n'Igbo is so admirable like sometimes m ga-ekata ife na-ekwu like this nse onwe ka m mesi kpọta nwoke ma anụ ka mụ na just na-akpa nkata just random conversations ka ọ na-atụ iru na-aga ka ndị mmadụ na-ege ntị na-amụta ọgụgụ ofe agụụ
ihe amakwa na ive bụ nke atụrụ alụ n'afọ negagwo na-aga na ọrọkwanụ ọ bụrụ mmadụ eteta ha wee malụ onye na-ese okenye na-eme
eziokwu one day mmemme ya kpọọ ya ilu Igbo just mụ na ga na-akpa nkata nnọọ ndị ọzọ esoro
ịma na igwe ike ikpọzie ilu Igbo nke ara ede n'akwụkwọ mma amazikwa ihe mmekwu mana ịma na ọ ya ba na-ekwu okwu
ọ
na-apụta onwe nke eji atapị okwu ụfọdụ maka na ebe anyị nọ na anyị nọghalị anọghalị etu a amazie ka esi ama ka anyị esi na-ejide ụmụ ife so ama na guest anyị apụgo mana ọ bụkwa na I think for a couple of minutes ara ama na ọnwụkwu onye chọọ inwe contribution ịghọta ka ọ ghara ịdị ka anyị nwabidosi ala okwu
eziokwu
ebe guest anyị
ndị nọ na mic ndị ka nọ na mic ọ bụrụ na unu chọrọ ikwu okwu Jimmy iji mic since mana ikwuru ọzọ okwu ka asị gị
Chuka eweniwe biko ịma na a na-abụ mbata like this mwago trying to round off a number of things sorry mgbe kpọrọ m I wasn't disposed okwu yeah so biko kembo contribution enwe okwu ikwu last and okwu anwa bụ okwu nchọbụrụ ikwu na onye ị na-ekwu okwu ya ị na-ekwu maka inu ọ na-atụ akwụrụ okwu m bịara ikwu onwe ụmụ okwu inu ọ tụgasị na-asị na ọ ga-adịkwana mma onwe ike ọ bụrụ one day anyị wele ụmụ ife inu a mmago ihe anyị na-agbakọkwana dịka ndị Igbo kwana bụ anọkwana maka enwere lot of young people nọkwa na-amachara ụmụ inu ndị a so ọ ya dị mma one of these days akpọbatasịa ndị ma ụmụ ife gbasara inu a na ụmụ ife ma ịma Igbo si na inu bụ ka e ga-ejikwu ya nọ mmanụ eji eri ji ka ọ gị na enwe ka esi ekwu ya
mmanụ ndị Igbo ji eri okwu
eji eri okwu ịfụnanya ya n'ihi so
ihe na-akpọkwa bụ na anyị tụsị ya yi ya bụ ivo inu ka anyị kọwala ụnụ ma akwa na onwe ife ndị Igbo kwuru maka ya
mba nwe ife
o nwere ike obodo anyị ekwu ife anyị agwa onye ọbụla were nkwụ dobe n'akụkụ gbakwa na-ekwu nkwụ ọcha ịṅụtụ maka nkwụ na-emekwa expire nkwụ na-eme inspire ụdị ife
mbọsị ọbụla unu ga na-emekwu ihe a ma unu ya edobelu m wonja akpara m ụlọ ọgwụ nkwụ ụdị nwụrụkwa mmiri
mba nke awụrụ okwu mụnwa ya sponsor nke anwa ụbọchị ọbụla anyị eme ya mụnwa ya sponsor nke anwa to you direct nsogbu adịrọ mana ọ dị mkpa nnọọ in short okwu ekwu n'abalị a ọ masịka and ka ife si wee mee tata ka esi wee mee elect this new president general ọ masị mụ but ihe anyị na-enezi anya bụzi going forward ke ka Ohanaeze ga-esi ke ka onye mere elect ga-esi carry on ya anọ m nọ by consensus ka eji mịa n'ọzi ka ezi programs onwe anyị ejinwu wee kpọnite Ohanaeze enwere ụmụ ife ndị nne n'anya na organizations ndị Igbo ya abịa because ọkwanụ those things Chuka mention go ife gbasalu development beyond what the governors are doing enwere aspects ebe m che na Ohanaeze as a body should get involved in. First of all, in cultural reawakening, aspects of cultural reawakening. And what if, I think, Chief, you mentioned something about Arewa House. I think you mentioned something about Arewa House and, the sort of research, that they had, research, departments, everyone has studied different things. I would have thought that Ohanaeze as a body, of course, I'm on all these things, but the raise ego as ndị Igbo abụrụ a problem to us ma enwe ife ndị mmadụ committee to matter that if I the genuine and not something that na ndị na handle kwanya the upright and ọbụrụ ndị fritter away the resources, whichever resources are contributed to them. So those kind of things bụ ihe m na-ene anya that Ohanaeze at that aspect where probably an Ohanaeze center for Igbo cultural studies, and Igbo, something like that. Because and when something in notice, I schooled in the East. And even as a young child, I was worried about such things. I was young, but I was worried about such things in the sense, and I do not know about the curriculum now and the books and they use, but in government is going to, they are reintroducing history. That is another area where our people need to be. Why am I saying this? When we studied history and the things we studied about cultures, about Nigerian, we saw that even in the East, I was wondering, on a culture, but that now even in the East, what we were being taught were about other people's culture. We were never at any time, or rarely, maybe once in a while, but we were never really taught about us. We were never really told anything about our history. We were never really told anything about us, our culture as a people. So all these areas, and now government may introduce history. You'll be shocked. I know by the time in Nanya the books how they use for the curriculum, you will be shocked at the sort of things and a dish out for students in the Southeast to consume. Some of them will be total lies, twisted, in imago, many people and their different agenda in the country. So my point is this, that no, these areas come that are not Ohanaeze, should, these areas, that Ohanaeze would, play the lead role in terms of cultural reawakening. Of course, Ohanaeze can also get involved in other things, but that area is very, very important. What if, stop Ohanaeze in where something like where shall based on programs, whichever leadership Mbata Ohanaeze ga-enwe.
Nwanne m ịma na ọ bụrụ na ị na-anya ọ na-abụ emesịa ihe nna dị ekwube bụ na nchepụta ede arụ ọkụkọ enwe ịma na mụnwa n'uche nke m ana m afọ Ohanaeze ka efi enyi onye kpụrụ isi metụ ya aka ọ bụ na ndị niile kpụrụ isi fụọ efi onye metụ aka nwa because na ọmarọ size ya so ebe onye ebitewe aka onwe ike ọ bụrụ na mpata ụkwụ ya ọdọdị ya ọtie hey nekwa ive dị ebe enwe ka ọzọ emekọta ọ metakata ya ka o lue n'ụkwụ without having the holistic value the holistic view onye mụ anya ga-eji onye nwere anya n'afọ ụzọ ga-eji fia. What I think, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. So many of us also, ọ bụrụ ihe niile ka a na-eme ha na diochi ara akọcha ihe niile ọfụ n'elu nkwụ. Just like nwanne m nwoke bụ Chief Kalu kwu, there are things he push high to actually start getting involved. He told us here how he started getting involved. Mine, that I started getting involved also, when we have a joy, and now why is this thing happening? Why are we not doing this? You come close, you find out that thing that is worrying you, that you're not alone. And one of the reasons I charge in labor now, always some things I make enough. And we're suddenly wondering, why are these things not happening? But we'll begin to reach out. Sometimes you find out now some are the solutions we can actually provide. Some might be suggestions we can provide. Some can also be the solutions we can provide in conjunction. But on our now, what I have learned in the last couple of years with Ohanaeze, Ohanaeze arụkwa governorship, ọbụrụkwa gọọmenti. Ịma na jụọ mmadụ kedu ihe ya eme na Ohanaeze asị gị na a ga-eme na ya alụba skuul mee nke a mee nke a. Ịmago azụmihe abụrụkwana political campaign ịlụsịsị ya skuul local government, state government, again. So it's a question of how do we eventually, by this constant engagement, get to the point where we assert our pressures that na nke anyị nwa ga-emenwu anyị eme, ha nwa ji eme nke ha ga-emenwu. Ọ bụrụ no it's not working with state government to do X, Y, Z. Do you understand? They can do it. When you talk about cultural things, I'm one of the, I recall, which I was part of, 2023. N'Enugu Enwelu Igbo Cultural Day, and we streamed it. We provided that services for them to provide live stream the whole cultural event. Now it's the starting point. Sadly, last year it wasn't done because that was the period the PG war. So they couldn't have been talking about having a cultural day where the PG was not yet buried. So it didn't happen. So this year, it behoves on us as part of that because to also get involved. I would know he made the cultural day because recall, by Pesimpe, I think Meko Mera was governor of then Anambra. When Anambra and Enugu was, together. Ama mgbe anyị na-esi mmọnwụ my community a na-akpọ Ojiọnụ na-esi Anambra isi Ezinifite bịaba Enugu ka abịa mmọnwụ festival. I don't know how many of us that actually grew up and attended any of the mmọnwụ festival a na-eme na stadium n'Enugu then. A na-eme competition. Those things, for me, those were, growing up,
I attended, so I know what you're talking about very much.
Exactly. So,
anọkata ọ dịka ndị ụka, ọ dịka ndị Pentecostal mere eji wee kwụsị ive ahụ because all the same time Pentecostal bido, and not to say that they are bad, don't get me wrong, but anọkata just the thing akwụsị ya.
ọ bụrụ na akwụsịrị Abia K steeti. So ọ bụrụ onwe ndị ga-abụ onye ọ na ka na-azọgodo onwe ya, onwe ihe ndị okenye na-akpọ akwụzụ dash. Onye akwụbeghị ụgwọ ọnwa na-eme bọjetị ọ ejije ti mmọnwụ. Do you understand? So a lot, that's my thinking, that over the years, when states were struggling to grapple and get themselves together, over time, those things started dropping. Obviously, with your own suggestion, Ndoka Biakuzia, Walo Ofuntu Falafo, Walo Hama, Kodo DNA. But these are things of goodness state, Mozi, that maybe Ohanaeze, in that spirit of unification, can actually, eventually extend. I'm an Enugu, our, Igbo capital. There is nothing game in Ayamanwe cultural display. The seventh state of Ohanaeze, and beyond. Gini game ọbụ na isi na enwe Igbo dị n'Enugu, that na Kogi, ndị Igbo nọ na Kogi should not join us. Ndị Igbo nọ na Benue should not join us. Ndị Igbo nọ na Obululedo or wherever should not join us. Ọ ụmụnne ka anyị ncha niile bụ ịghọta ebidogodo ebe a ihe anyị malụ na this my Duwente affair but it's a marathon thing. It's a long project. It's something that you will see a very long project plan that gradually, in a mere, with that dedication, will get to a point. Because you talked about cultural. mana onye rigodo nni na-agba mmọnwụ maka na ọ bụrụ na nne ya dịghị n'afọ ịgba mmọnwụ nwanne ya daa ịghọta that's why ọ ya bụ mmọnwụ jee onwe ebe a na-eji ihe onwe ebe ọ ya bụ elu akpọzụga gị n'akụkụ so akpọzụga gị n'akụkụ onwe ozi onye ma aghọọla ebe akpọzụga maka it is expected na ya ebutelu nne ya eji wee mee ụnụ neta ụnụ anya. So how do you even begin to feed people before you will local culture? How do you even, the organization get to even get into tech? Nothing says that they cannot eventually expand. If you bad, I don't know, scholarship to the best, whatever. But these are things over time. But let's
Biko,
not.
can I just say something? Biko,
Yeah.
just 1 minute. I think we've gone full circle now. So my initial comments, one, the people we have now are not the people. This is my own opinion, based on their background, and not the people that will drive
No, sorry.
all
I
the
think
things we're talking about now. All
I
the
don't
things we're
like
just.
that. No, sorry. You see, Biko, ka anyị kwanyelu ndị mmadụ ugwu. Go and take the names of Enwell, I think about 26 people.
Yes.
If you haven't done a background check on these 26 people, it's unfair.
Okay, no, okay, that's fine.
No, because
Okay.
if we have a couple of them personally.
I'm sorry. Can I just finish what I'm saying? I understand what you're saying, and I really appreciate this platform, and I hope and wish we'll have this again. The point in the middle now, we've gone full circle. Everything you said, the gentleman that made the guest appearance, everybody here, everything we've articulated here. The point I was making initially is that how are the people that will drive it, because they don't have that institutional foresight to do all these things we really want for Ohanaeze to grow. Because
Again, I said
sorry.
it is not right. You cannot. You see, you are shaving a man's head in his absence. I don't know the Mbata of a man, apart from the things I've just Googled online. There are people, about 26 people, elect today.
Okay,
It
that's fine.
is very wrong of me
Yes.
to insult them by saying that
How
they
can
cannot
it be
achieve
insult to
anything.
say
I don't know
this
them.
is my own, but you have your opinion. Let me have my own opinion. I'm saying that they would not move us forward. That's all I'm saying. It's my own opinion, and I hope to be proven wrong. That's the point I said before. I hope I'm wrong. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the people I saw the video that I think it was you that was saying it. The people who were shaking. These are not people that can build up all these things. I can't see it happening. That's the point I'm making, and I hope I'm wrong. That's the point I'm making. But to always jump into you're insulting people. I'm 49 years old. I can say what I want to say.
Okay. I understand your position. I understand your cynicism. I mean, when you have expectations of a certain people and they fail you repeatedly, by your own expectation, they fail you repeatedly, it gets to a point where you become cynical, especially when you don't see anything significantly different coming. I understand that, but like Maz Yezuke said, and like Chief Carlo said, sometimes just watch. Just watch.
Yes, I hope so.
Obona,
I mean, I hope they have.
see, I have my own
Okay,
opinions as well, and I have my own expectations. But what I'm learning not to do now is when I'm hopeful for something, I don't make any assumption on nothing, on a vacuum. If I'm a work already, especially when I don't have enough information to say that. For instance, Obona, it's a governor, a new governor in a particular state na Ndigbo, and if that governor from off Manonia, no, Bonya just nearly good no, that's a different. It's not what if that's a different because his antecedents.
Yes.
If we get bought all before, so you a reference point on which you are building your doubts. But not any reference point, or any strong information that supports what you
But
say.
you're assuming that I don't. You're assuming that I don't.
Well,
I know people from River State
what
who know
I would
Mbata.
do if I were in your shoes if I'm coming to say something like this publicly, what I will first of all do is to provide context and background information. Then
Okay.
kubesi ife na-ekwu. That way, and
All
then
the
when I
money.
get
All
on
the
to
money.
say, okay, onyan nwere ebe ọ na-eje, and I can
All
understand
the
him. But
yeah.
equal like a generalized statement, like a blanket statement. What happens is that it's contagious. See, doubt is contagious more than fear.
Yes.
The more you plant it around, the more everybody
But,
loses hope. I'm not saying people should be very hopeful,
I'm very optimistic.
but
So Ndigbo will be fine. I'm very
if
optimistic.
everyone
Ndigbo
feel,
will be fine.
my opinion of this whole thing is this: thank God he has come here to say certain things, and hopefully we'll be able to have him or any other person from Ohanaeze on a Twitter space like this. I draw for some more questions. And we're more than 10 questions, you know.
Yes.
Kafa Kawakane, some things. If I'm actually now what is Ohanaeze and what does Ohanaeze do? Because I'm Nonya Abulgo Kenya. Enjoy drawing, man, I got call for 30 minutes.
Yes.
So I didn't want to do that. But then when we have understood completely the concept of Ohanaeze and the duties they have assumed as their responsibility, then I ask you why, how can we perform in this structure according to this vision? How do we strengthen what is going on? How do we do something that they can also support what they are doing on our own? Because yes, when I asked the question about financing, it's clear that Ohanaeze for now is still under the capture of the governors or those in power.
Yes. Which
So
we're all aware of. Yes.
it will take some time to untangle that. Mana, onwelo kanya na fagesi ne bankata na aga. Fana what I find eme. I wanna what I find eme. At some point, and you may kwano kanya wa game from our own end. Onwelo gelo connect here.
That's fine. I mean, I accept everything you're saying. I agree. I'm just saying that for me, leadership is everything.
Yeah.
Everything rests and falls in leadership, and institutions rule the world. Remember that the guest speaker that spoke, he said that all those are leaders. There's no book. He said he's a book person. So, and all those things can only be done by institutions, not us. So we're deferring their role back to somebody else. Maybe we can do it. But my only consolation is that Igbo people will be fine. Igbo people are organizing themselves all over the world. They're doing different things. Igbo people will be just fine. It just makes me sad that our apex body, we don't have the people with the commitment that would move us forward to aggregate that Igbo Igbo vision forward. That's my only.
That's
So,
why I was saying
Chijioke,
that
biko,
sometimes what you
ọ
are
na
going to
enwere
do
ike
from your
context,
end.
ọ na enwere ike iji enu because ihe niile a anyị ncha niile na-etinyekwanye etinye mmadụ anọzi na n'akụkụ akpa aghịrịga ọ bụrụ na gụnwa na onwe gị na ihe abịa ifile na ndagharị next one ịbụ onye Nnewi uchigatakwa Lesotho Anambra believe, so why not you contest?
But Mazi,
because anyị ncha bụ ndị Igbo, because ihe no hold on, ihe mana a na-ekwu ihe a n'anya see
Mazi, I'm not the bad guy here. Oh?
No, okwu bad guy. Listen, Onwe, I want us to, let me say this to you this way. Amam na agotam imagodi your pessimism, right? But ebe nwelu onwe mbosi nno na-ekwu PG. One of the the brightest mind I went on Igbo, I won't mention his name, said, "What is your obsession with the PG?" He said, no. That I should look at the organization and see these positions. If you want to go back to the constitution, normally some positions today, Kalida Alimba. So when you concentrate on the PG, you miss it. With that information, my brother, this is a team, right? Kehame elect today. So it will be unfair. Ofuake Rotamanu Yezu Ohon. Therefore, now we anya holistically because by me one person can get hold the responsibility because what we are trying to do here, Guy Bruce or water no one because everybody in so that we will now come together as a people and begin to hold them to account too.
Yes.
Kuna this PG I had conversations with others I didn't have with him. So there is nothing. I don't even know what his worldview is. I don't even I don't know. Do you understand?
Mm.
But until he comes, he sits down with us and we talk with
I
him.
kind of agree with you, because sorry for cutting you cutting in. Sorry. Yeah, I kind of agree with you because about that PG, no, I think his major role because it's more
Symbolic.
symbolic.
Exactly.
You understand? I think that is the major
He doesn't
role
even
in
run
the
Ohanaeze.
Ohanaeze try to achieve, in putting him there. That does not mean Nonya will the entire job. And well, does them elect with him, who probably would do the major job. But the putting him there as the head, of course, he might end up, bringing, more policies, good policies that will help the group to move forward, and move Ndigbo forward, But beyond that, the most important thing is the symbolism of his election. And I want us as Ndigbo to look at it in that regard. That alone is a win. That alone, we have, as in Anya as Ndigbo, have actually won, something major with that alone. Then the other work, Dezelo, both himself and the entire team. For
Same thing.
instance, let me agree with you also, because in the positioning of Ohanaeze, and when they were, more critical role in terms of like this thing I mentioned, overall President General get more organized. Yes, not at the top of it, but in terms of organizing, okay, let's even have a cultural festival. He will not be at the organization level. Do you understand? And we go the projects. He will not be at the project implementation level. Yes, he will be the call meetings and all that. But at the end of the day, whatever the meetings will come up with will have to be some sort of a majority or consensus decision or something that is generally agreed will be in the interest of Ndigbo. So I get you and I totally agree with you on this point.
I think I agree as well. I'm not saying that he will run. I'm saying that a leader is the one that the strategic journey of Ohanaeze will be articulated by the leader. Of course, other people will try and implement it, but an Ohanaeze President General that does not understand that the language of instruction of Ohanaeze must be Igbo, that every text of Ohanaeze must be Igbo and English, that those kind of strategic ideas.
But you have not even interacted with him. So
No,
how do you conclude Nogota
I,
here?
I've just told you that I know of him. I know someone who knows him. I know someone who's a family friend of his. He's been in River. I'm surprised you guys don't know that he's been in River State politics from the time of Odili. So he's not someone that this is
My
my
brother,
opinion. I have the right to have an opinion, but that's fine.
there are things
We can wish and
no.
pray that I have
Mana
the.
ihe
Hold
anyị
on, hold on.
na-ekwu about monasị Igbo biko
According to the
achọrọ m
book.
because anyị na-ekwu okwu a biko eweniwe
Mba, ọ na-asụ Igbo.
biko
Ọ na-asụ Igbo.
ka anyị na-etinye the okwu in a different way
Ọ
because
na-asụ Igbo,
onye
sorry.
na-asụ nwa Ikwere onye
Ọ
na-asụ
na-asụ
nwa
Igbo.
Ikwere na-asụ Igbo albeit his dialect
Mba,
ọ
ọ
dị ka
na-asụ
onye
Igbo.
na-asụ Ngwa ọ na-asụ his dialect.
Mba, ọ
Do you
na-asụ Igbo
understand?
ọfụma.
Mana Igbo ka ha niile bụ.
Mba, ọ na-asụ
You
Igbo. That
So
understand?
wasn't
ihe
what I said.
na-agwa Chelono.
That
So
wasn't what I
ihe
was saying.
na-ekwu bụ na
Ọ na-asụ Igbo
ihe
ọfụma.
na-ekwu bụ na
Maka onye na-asụ Igbo onye Igbo.
biko ihe na-ekwu bụ na otu ọhụụ na-abụ nkụkọta kama ofu emelụ n'ibe ya ahụ. Asaa mma asatọ mma nkwukwa ọzọ biko. I cannot judge a man that I have not interacted, and I would only, you see, my job, what I do has taught me to ask questions, then make up my mind. Na mmadụ kpọrọ m na, and if you do that, you'll be missing it. Na mmadụ kpọrọ gị, onye a na-agwa gị onye a na-ekwe ka ọ dị na-eke ọ dị. In the eyes of that person, in that person's worldview, in his prison, that's the way he sees it. May not necessarily be no to said. That's all I ask. It will be unfair for me, somebody ML elect today. Mbia noleba inasi no nwere ihe no I will not. Isukwekwudi ya chifo but hold me responsible na again. Ibulo na na-aga dịka ji amarọ m ma ọ bụ ji abana ka ọ bụ ọna ka ọ bụ ji ka ọ bụ iyi oji until I touch it, until I eat it, isuli ya na mmanụ with ụkpaka ewe ngwazie gị hey ka o si atọ dị ha. Just to see by Namfulo, hey, Tibem no, no, I think that's why you were number six with due respect. Okay, let's Imogo because Abuna, listen, I haven't met you, man. Abuna no here. Somebody I know could hear the same thing about you. I will take the same day because now it's unfair on you and very disrespectful to your own person. The onye ma matter afube mi ebe okwu apart from some political videos in where came here, but really sit down on this context of Ohanaeze okwu enge ya ntị enjoy ajụjụ. What I think we should even be doing bụ ka make it sure that in the next couple of weeks na ya bịa ka anyị na ya nọrọ na-akpa nkata because this world is changing. Any ọnọdụ ka ihe a na-ekwu na any parent amaro etu esi use telephone, mobile phone, amaro app etu esi download the app. How can you go and take care of your teenagers? Malo which app and game or whatever they are doing in there. So there are some certain languages and certain interactions I believe over time until for now I am being fair because as of early this morning amaro onye ga-abụ president achọkwudeme ma ihe mma bụ enwere m blank paper nji n'aka. I haven't started writing, but my pen is ready. Etigwe Oyomas offers the Kebu Wesu go. Then I'll start writing. Until then, I cannot say I may need him buying an exam of others. Hey, in way he can alone question to somebody extra paper, mamma babage by force. So until then, I don't know man need extra paper. On this note, I yield and good night all.
Kachifone, thank you very much.
All right. I'll close with this. I said it earlier. I'll say it again. You can go and research. Ndị mere ife ndị Igbo ji ebulu ndị Igbo. Ndị develop la ndị Igbo. Ma the politics, ma the economy, ma the social structure were young people like you and I. Just when you understand that, then you understand that there is already a collective responsibility upon us. So that while we are pointing fingers, which is not a bad thing to hold anybody to account who is in positions, understanding of our responsibility, a collective responsibility, and then a personal responsibility to commit to that collective work. I want to beg, I don't know how you before a lot publicly, but I want to beg, Ndigbo, let us learn to embrace that thing and all one alokotonu. Only find in this generation that I think we're shifting, but we need to shift faster. So that while we're pointing fingers at our elders, when you look at anything that needs to be done, there is that urge. May my personal thing. Great. But that's not if you mellow can make a difference. But if any madu can change everything. Like Ndigbo are saying, we need to imbibe that philosophy of Igwebike, which is working together. So when we feature game impact in Ndigbo. Okay, man, in there with that approach, can they never get me far? Because there's always somebody, there are always people you can do stuff with, and you will achieve way more than you can achieve on your own. So that we don't end up working in silos. Rather, we work together. When you do things together, number one, it makes it difficult for anybody to target you. Because so you don't get your opener, which becomes very difficult. If on there na men, I find a man will on your bridge the Kwanara movement, a problem. Because so you could you enough first, I can have. Although I can find a mad Maya, but I'm just giving an example. it becomes difficult to stop because the matter only engage because onye as no with the face of Ifaneme. Secondly, when you do things together like that, it becomes easier for you to do the right thing because everybody's watching everybody. And I twallow, and they water suggestions, and they brainstorm. Your brain will fall. Your mind will naga. But only not gonna can you know you're not gonna keep one kefanafu. It kotazia on or the richer. The ideas are the more properly refined or the more viable. And also, all the easy for onye on America, or onye on Russia, or onye on Abuja to put his money on ife ndị mmadụ na-emekọta ọnụ na ife ofu onye na-eme. So when we begin to embrace this culture, book our original culture, that's the only way we can return to what these people that worked in the 40s, 50s, and 60s did. I remember individually. This is all I can say for this night. Makananye could go so many things. And I want to thank you so much, Maazeze, and everybody else who has spoken on this conversation, especially our guests, Chief Carlo in absentia, and Jimmy, and everyone else. Choke. Thank you so much for contributing to this conversation, and also to everybody in the audience who have been listening. I wish you joined. I wish a lady joined us in this conversation. Mananso Wadro, thank you so much for your time. And even those who have been listening anonymously, there are a lot of you. I also appreciate you for listening. And I will encourage everybody here to always share these spaces when we finish. Because no one didn't want all the time to come in here that would have liked to listen. So when you share it, they will listen at another time that is convenient for them. Ukwa wena basa. Okwa to akisi build awareness. I build this awareness. So see, we're banging activities. From activities, we don't have results. Makana ka ba anye diketa adro anye mma. And onye obuna pata na ekwu okwu. So ka na ekwu okwu anwa ka chọ ife anyị ga-alụ together. Ka o wedila anye mma. Balo onye ọbịa. Balo.
Ụmụ Igbo, I will leave us with this. Biko iwu na-adị n'ọkụ na onye ọ na-eme omume na-ebe obubo na ọrụ ekwe m nrapụ. Ndị okenye si na
la 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 la